Yeah, there won't be too many bigger games in Australia this week. It's the iconic Northern Territory for an iconic cup. The Australia Cup heads up to Darwin. Picturesque scenes around the top end of Australia, and that is the scene that welcomes Melbourne Victory and the Newcastle Jets. Warm conditions, maybe a little bit of a departure from what's going on in the southern states, but Larrakia Park, the Darwin Football Stadium, is looking a pretty picture for this one. And the one stadium that was hosting games during lockdowns in COVID in 2020 now plays host to the Australia Cup here tonight. And a great crowd in. It's 2 games in 2 days. Of course, it's an all A-League affair in both contests. Tomorrow it'll be Perth Glory against the Macarthur Bulls, the defending champions. But tonight, Newcastle Jets will take on Melbourne Victory. And you can see their Victory are in their fluoro away kit. Newcastle launching a new kit for this very game, and great to see lots of local mascots getting to walk out with their Isuzu Ute A-League heroes, and that will excite them no end. Great to see the game giving back to the top end. Pitch is in impeccable condition at Larrakia Park. And even with the evening dew settling in, expected to play pretty well. Let's take a look at the Newcastle Jets. Rob Stanton, his first 11 that he names. It's got a couple of new acquisitions as well. You see there, Clayton Taylor from Sydney FC immediately into the starters. Lucas Moragas is back from his season-long loan at the Wellington Phoenix. And Brandon O'Neill gets the captain's armband. Reno Piscopo, one of their star men, will be expected to pull the strings. And there is Clayton Taylor. He was in Sydney FC's academy from under 13s all the way up until only a couple of months ago. A regular in their NPL team, but ultimately going to Newcastle to get his breakthrough. So very much raised in the sky blue school, and he follows Rob Stanton up the motorway. Melbourne Victory, Tony Popovich has rung the changes. His team is currently only a week into pre-season, and taking a look at the lineup here, lots of new faces, including players that are yet to make their A-League men's debut. Ahmed Taleb, Josh Insera, Casey Boss, Alex Menelau and Adem Juratovic. But will the future be a bright one for Victory if they can pull off a result tonight? And there is Casey Boss. If the name sounds familiar, it's because he's the younger brother of recently minted Socceroo Geordie Boss. A foot in each camp in 2 of the Melbourne teams, and for the 3rd foot in a different camp, his sister Jessica is actually part of the staff at Western United. So what a family. They've got 1 member at each of the 3 Melbourne A-League clubs. And so there is the new man in charge, Rob Stanton, head coach of the Newcastle Jets, succeeding Arthur Pappas in the role. What does the future hold under new leadership? Certainly many managers over the journey. Melbourne Victory, Tony Popovich comes back for another season. Of course, it was extra time that foiled him from a spot in the grand final in campaign 1. Certainly not anywhere near as successful in campaign number 2. And it's a pretty hard reset as far as tonight's team is concerned. Stefan Negro is wearing the captain's armband for Victory. And the handshakes are taking place with Jack Morgan, tonight's official. The other assistants, Andrew Memorakis, Arvin Shanmuganathan, and the 4th official is Daniel Elder. And so as teams huddle up, it's a good chance to welcome Daniel McBreen to the broadcast. You've played at this venue, Macca. Great to have you on the Australia Cup coverage. What are you expecting tonight?
Well, I would like to say good evening first, and I didn't really get to play. I got to do a 5-minute warm-up before I got an injury in my latter years, so I got to watch my old team Edgeworth play here, and it's a slick pitch. It should be good for the teams that want to move the ball around quickly and make runs in behind. Very youthful teams on both sides of the fence tonight, so it'd be good to see how they stack up against each other and show their coaches what they've got.
Newcastle Jets, certainly with more players with A-League men's experience. As we listed there, 5 of the starters for Victory, in fact 6 of the starters for Victory, have yet to make their A-League men's debut, and Geordie Valadon has just 2 appearances. So certainly at different ends of the experience table. Do you think that'll count this early in pre-season, given as we kick off, Melbourne Victory have picked a number of players because they are match fit and hardened in the middle of an NPL winter?
Well, if my memory serves me correctly, it was last year that Melbourne Victory started off with a youth team, a really young, youthful team in their Australia Cup foray, and didn't do too badly. And I think these guys will be hardened from their NPL season, so the match fitness could be telling. Only obviously a week or 2 into pre-season for both these teams, and that will prove difficult in the second half.
See Adem Juratovic, the centre forward, expect him to play like this for much of the night. He's a big bullocking type, and I'm going to be intrigued as to exactly what sort of service he can be provided there. Young centre forward, he scored 7 in 17 in NPL 3, but like much of the team, he's still only a teenager. Stay with the Jets here as they look for their first attack of the night. And they're happy to send the ball back. Mark Natter at the centre of defence. Just getting a feel for the pitch with Philip Canchar in the first minute of the game.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how the Newcastle Jets go out and play. Obviously, Robbie Stanton's spent many years in the Sydney FC setup. The early reports are it's a similar style of play. Has been impressing that onto his players in these early parts of the season.
Certainly a patient beginning. Warm night in Darwin, unexpected conditions. Maybe not the worst thing in pre-season to do a bit of warm weather training, though. Perhaps we might get a fair bit of this. Victory sitting very deep. Absolutely no interest in pressing Newcastle while they're on the halfway line at least. And now the teams engage. It's Brandon O'Neill plays a back pass, and that's a crunching challenge. That is one to let you know that it's a competitive game and not simply a pre-season hit out. Philip Canchar goes into the book for wiping out Casey Boss.
Well, it is a reckless challenge. Casey Boss, you can see there, he read the play, nipped in quickly and got that touch. Canchar was left with nothing but legs in the challenge. And I guess that's probably what Victory's game plan will be, to feel out Newcastle, wait for that opportunity for a quick counter-attack.
Ball on the right now for Victory, knocked away. Jets can look to counter. Reno Piscopo, we know what a talent he is. No VAR tonight. Yellow, fair enough. I know we're only 3 minutes into the game. Sometimes the referee will let you have that one without even a yellow, Macca.
Well, yeah. In the old days, you would have got away with that, no problem. But look, I think where the position was and the players, yellow card was fine.
And the offside flag is up here against Trent Bahaja, who will no doubt be stretching the defensive line. And speaking of players yet to make their A-League men's debut, it's been a great week for Franco Lino, signing his senior contract. He turns 18 in August next month, and he's been in the Victory Academy since the age of 12. Moved to Australia from South Sudan with his family as a refugee in 2003 when he was barely 2 years old. Fantastic to see that he's managed to stay in the Victory Academy all the way through from such a young age. And I guess when you talk about the attrition rates of overseas academies, but it's such a focus in English football and the Premier League, but in Australia something's being done right if you can retain a talent all the way through from 12 to senior. Yeah,
exactly. And I think we're starting to see the fruition of setting those academies up a number of years ago. We're seeing now in particular quite a few players really spending their whole time through the whole junior system at clubs and reaping the benefits. And hopefully we'll see plenty more to come into their A-League debuts and potentially even bigger moves overseas.
O'Neill tries to thread the ball past Franco Lino, but he's able to make the interception. And now Boss, who shook off that knock, which led to the yellow card. He's all right to continue. Juratovic, centre forward, coming very deep. Now Alex Menelau. Victory possessing the ball and stringing some passes together. Matthew Bozanovsky at the centre of defence. Only 7 A-League men's appearances, but he did make 4 starts last season. Season of struggle for Melbourne Victory. The attempted diagonal pass is blocked, but Victory able to retain the ball. Bozanovsky directing traffic here. A little bit of a hot potato for his teammate Jordi Valadon. Now Menelau to Lino. And Lino looks to break the lines. It's an incisive pass and he finds Juratovic. Back to Valadon. Now Victory can commit some numbers forward. Newcastle able to halt their momentum.
That was confident play from these young Melbourne Victory players. Newcastle Jets pressed with numbers, confidently played through and played the ball up to the striker, able to push their team up the field. Newcastle Jets got back quickly.
And that is the will-o'-the-wisp-like evasiveness of Clayton Taylor. I must freely admit I've been commentating the NPL in New South Wales the last 2 years, where he makes runs like this for Sydney FC, his former employers, on a regular basis, and dribbling and movement really is his strength.
He had good strength there as well to break away from the first challenge. As you said, the pace of the dribble as well.
Here he is again, feeding a ball through the left. Jets looking to build. It's knocked away at the near post. Clearance comes and Victory are able to hold firm. Of course, there's a few new faces for the Jets as well. Ryan Scott, we haven't called his name, their goalkeeper yet, but he's joined from Western United. Will be battling Michael Weir for the #1 gloves, no doubt. He gets the nod at this stage of the Australia Cup. Of course, he made his name with the Bentley Greens in a number of Australia Cup ties, including a penalty shootout win against Hume City some years ago. Jets are on the attack. And the cross from the tight angle is going to be met on the half volley. Oh, and it's been missed by Mahaja. The goal was gaping, and he hit it on the instep, but he mishit it.
Well, he has to score there, doesn't he? It was great play from the Jets down the right-hand side. See there, the ball comes across, and it's a mishit strike, and it just falls to Bahaja, and all he has to do is really just tuck that away into almost an empty net. That's probably one part of his game that I don't want to say has held him back, but just that finishing. He makes great runs. He's got good pace. He gets into great positions. And he has let him down at times.
Is that technique or concentration or a bit of a mix of both?
I think it's a bit of both, really. Maybe he wasn't really expecting it to come at him at pace, but as a striker around the box, you have to expect all the time. You have to always think, well, that ball could come to me, so I need to be ready.
You heard the crowd swell upon that attacking chance. Of course, it's a well-educated football crowd in Darwin. This stadium hosts the entirety of their local competition, the Men's Premier League. And it does regularly deliver the Northern Territory's representative to the round of 32 of the Australia Cup. Normally goes down to one final game against the qualifier from Alice Springs, and so far it has been Darwin. You see the black and white checkered shirt there in the second row. That's Casuarina. I know the teams. Yeah, they've got a great league, a competitive league, and it's a league that has a lot of international players that's somewhat reflective of the cosmopolitan nature of the city as well. Huge Nepalese community in Darwin, which contributes to a lot of the teams too.
I believe it was one of the Darwin teams that turned up in a limo, didn't they, a few years ago against Sydney FC? They did it in style. Didn't quite do it in style on the pitch, I don't think.
Yeah, yet to win a round of 32 game, the Northern Territory representative, but that's the magic of the Cup. Newcastle Jets hadn't won a round of 32 game for quite some years. Of course, their best performance is making the quarterfinals in 2019, and they actually did beat Melbourne Victory along the way. So they do have a bit of somewhat recent history of knocking Victory out of this tournament. Victory's goalkeeper tonight, Ahmed Taleb, former Melbourne City junior, and before that played for the Fawkner Blues and club formerly known as the Moreland Zebras, now known as Brunswick Juventus. He might be called into action here because Clayton Taylor's on the move. Into the box he goes, kept his feet. And then Valadon is able to win possession away. Newcastle persists, second phase attack. The ball is held up here by Dane Ingham. Moragas appealing for a corner kick, but he doesn't get the decision. Big season for Lucas Moragas, coming back after his season over at the Wellington Phoenix.
Yeah, another one who came through the youth system. Actually came from Canberra and brought him in when I was at the youth team at the Jets, and he's a player with real determination, a wand of a left foot. I was surprised to see him go out on loan last season. He had a pretty good season over at Wellington as well. Himself a number of assists, likes to get forward.
Underhit pass from Casey Voss gives the possession away here to Thomas Aquilina. He's trying to make amends here. Late contact, referee wasn't looking. No foul forthcoming for the Jets. Victory win possession back. Striding out from the centre of defence, Eli Adams. He returns to his position in a more attacking role. Valadon. This is Josh Insera out to the right. Another of the players yet to make his A-League men's debut. Clever from Valadon, showing us his tricks. He can't thread a second 1-2, and Brandon O'Neill says enough of that, but his pass is underhit, and Lino comes in to take possession away. And now Victory can probe. Boss dispossessed. Aquilina has just had the better of him in the last two contests and wins a throw. Long throw into the middle of the pitch. Lino Piscopo with an underhit pass gives possession away. Nathan Konstantopoulos takes over. And he was a bit indecisive about options from his teammates. He's just trying to keep the ball glued to his feet now. Duratovic holds it up. Here's the shot. And it bends well wide from Eli Adams. But Melbourne Victory with a little half chance after a bit of a slip from Reno Piscopo.
Well, we saw a little misunderstanding between Brandon O'Neill and Trent Buhagic just moments ago, and then again, Piscopo not on the same page as his teammates. Konstantopoulos, when he broke forward, he was looking for someone to break around the right, wasn't he? He's holding that ball up, didn't really have an option, had to turn back inside and did quite well.
How tough is this situation where you've got senior players coming back after only 1 week of pre-season, linking up with academy players who they may know, they may have trained against, but may not know particularly well? I'm sure you've been there in the course of your A-League career. Yeah,
look, it is difficult. We all know that the more time you spend on the park together, especially in matches, you get an understanding, and these guys probably haven't had much time together out there. And you factor in that they've had 4 to 6 weeks off on holidays as well, and it's get a little bit of the rustiness out as well. So it is very difficult. First game back in a competitive match.
Case in point, that pass was really risky, but Taylor wasn't able to make the interception in time. Melbourne Victory living dangerously though as they pass around the back. Now some combative work in midfield. Ball was spilled by Dane Ingham. Out on the right, here's Buhagic. Possession given away. So one thing that Tony Popovic would have had as a priority would be to avoid conceding the early goal. We've gone almost 14 minutes now, and save for that glaring miss from Trent Buhagic, Victory have largely looked defensively sound, and a match, at least for now, for this Newcastle team. Can the Jets turn up the gears? There's Tony Popovic, not looking too happy about how his team just gave possession away. Clearly wanting a bit more intensity from his side. Slide challenge here is going to spill possession. Lino has to be careful taking it into his own area. And a little nibble at the back of the legs there. Play continues. Buhagic plays it back to Costa Grozos. He feeds it through the right. Aquilina has stayed forward. Can't find a teammate with the cross though. Valadon volleys away.
Lino really lashed out there with Aquilina, didn't he, inside the box. Aquilina went down, but there was no real shouts for a penalty.
And so at the 15-minute mark, it's Newcastle 0, Victory 0. Game has been played at a pace perhaps befitting the temperature and conditions, and an acute awareness that if we can't separate the teams after 90 minutes, they might need another 30. Battle in midfield here. Deflected unkindly off Konstantopoulos to Taylor, but he can't find a friendly face with his pass. See the conditions at the bottom of your screen there. 29.2 degrees listed as the temperature, but 33% humidity and only the lightest of light breezes. For those that haven't been to Darwin, Macca, what's it like at this time of year?
It's hot, as always, up that way. She spent 6 months in Townsville, and I've spent some time in Darwin when I was younger as well for a tournament, and it's sapping. When you come from down south and head up there, it is energy sapping.
Moragas, a mishit pass on that occasion. Goes out right through Tony Popovic's technical area. Interesting that he's got an unbranded peaked cap. He's waiting for a personal sponsor of some sort.
Just like Dwight York had the personalised cap last year, didn't he?
I'm sure Tony Popovic would love to go on the same run that Dwight York did in last year's Cup. Of course, MacArthur, the holders, are playing tomorrow. The tournament defence could be over in 25 hours' time. Here's a chance for Boss. Advantage given. He tried to play it through. Free kick in that position might have been quite a promising one for Victory. Instead of foul, sends the Jets the other way.
Well, Dane Ingham winning the foul there. He's quite busy opening 15 minutes. He's been very combative in that midfield area. He's been predominantly on the right wing, but coming inside to help his teammates out.
Aquilina is going to find Bahaja after a deflection. Bahaja sizing up the penalty area, and he just held fire because he didn't have much to aim for and found even less. Here's Moragas. Can he use his left foot? Bides his time. A quick 1-2. Moragas, now he dinks it in. It misses Ingham. Bahaja's there, and it's the opening goal. Not much of a celebration from Trent Bahaja, but he opens the scoring for the Newcastle Jets, and they lead in Darwin.
Well, they did well down the right-hand side to get in behind Trent Bahaja, but then the ball came out to the left. And a little 1-2 in behind, and this is what Lucas Moragas does so well. Just hangs it up in a good area, some good tail on it. See here, little 1-2. Has a look and just hangs it up in an area. It's a touch. This time, Bahaja has a touch, and Taleb, he won't really want to see that again. Probably should have done better. Bahaja didn't quite get a hold of it, but it just crept on through. See there, I think maybe the fact that Trent Bahaja didn't get a good finish on it may have just thrown the keeper off a little bit and mistimed it, and it ends up in the back of the net.
Well, before the shot's taken as well, you saw Bozanovsky won the header, a glancing header, but Lino was jumping there as well, and he left his man. He left Bahaja totally unmarked.
Yeah, he did. And that's communication, being aware of the situation.
Now Bozanovsky has trouble because Bahaja will have his tail up as a result of making amends for the earlier miss. He celebrated it like someone that knew he perhaps should have already had one on the board. Not quite met with the enthusiasm of scoring the first goal in a knockout cup tie. Melbourne Victory might spark up that intensity a little bit, but Ryan Scott, who's so far been largely a spectator, is out to collect. Of course, was on the bench for Western United for the last 2 seasons, but a couple of campaigns ago he did get a lot more game time for the club. Marco Redan's final season. But Jamie Young very much got the gloves back from him in the last couple of seasons. Here's a long, hopeful ball for that Bahaja pace now, but he's run himself into an offside position. Gets himself back into an onside position and might be waiting for another long ball right here again. The Jets through Aquilina. Now that they have a goal in pocket, do you expect a material difference in how Newcastle will approach the game?
Well, they can afford to be patient, can't they? They've got that goal they needed to get in front, and now they can be a little patient and then move that ball around and invite Victory to step out and try and come and chase the game and win the ball, which should create more opportunities like this.
Clayton Taylor attracting the attention of 3 defenders and straight it out to open space. Getting entangled. Victory restart right on the last line of defence. Feet of their goalkeeper Taylor. Sliced clearance. Grozos wins the header. Ingham able to hold his ground. Shoots off Bozanovski. Tries to get the better of him on the deck. Referee absolutely knew that Reno Piscopo got knocked over there, and he's able to win a foul subsequently.
It's good aggressive play from both Newcastle Jets players there. Daningham in the first instance, then Reno Piscopo was quick off the mark to get his body in between the ball and player, drew the foul. He's going to be such a vital player for Newcastle Jets this season. We saw sparks of his dynamic play last year. A couple of games where he really ran the show, but they'll be looking for more consistency this year. There's great quality.
Piscopo takes the free kick, which he won. Slides off the head of Moragas. Now ducking and weaving. Stuck in a 1-on-2, and Victory's numbers win out initially. However, Eli Adams goes and gives the ball away. Grozos drifting it across. Here's Piscopo again. Here's the short pass. A little bit too hot to handle there for Ingham. But the Jets will reload once more. O'Neill to Natter. Tony Popovic, you see there in his technical area, urging his defensive line to push up. Natter deflected off Valadon. Victory will take over. Able to keep control of the ball initially, but through comes Ingham, wins it back. Grozos. Moragas looking to advance the ball. He's going to swing it in from deep. Bozanovski up for the header. Through the right comes Aquilina. Costa Grozos is happy to reset the centre of defence. Moragas finds a gap, and then his pass wasn't able to match the initiative.
Yeah, he's just got the ball a little stuck under his foot there as he tried to flick it out wide. Used to be a left winger when he came to the Jets, and obviously been converted into a left fullback. Loves to get forward, loves to take players on. There's a real wicked delivery from that left-hand side. A real whip on it.
Valadon has given possession away, but out able to make amends. However, it's the Jets turning it into a bit of a half-field game at the moment. Tucking in, defending, hoping to keep the damage to 1 for now. Piscopo. Moragas. Piscopo just veering sideways here. Grozos finds Aquilina. Now Aquilina with a swinging ball. It's onto the head of Stefan Negro. Heel was clever from Juratovic, and the ball is worked out to Lino on the left. But Victory still not breaking out of their defensive half. Still pinned back. Of course, Brisbane Roar fans will be watching this game with interest because their team will be away to the winner in the round of 32. Brisbane Roar starting a bit of a new era this week with former A-League player Kaz Patafta coming in as CEO, fellow former A-League player Zach Anderson, his Chief Operations Officer. It makes me feel old. I remember when Kaz Patafta was in the Benfica under-17s team. Now we've got him as an A-League men's CEO. Ball's gone out here for a goal kick, but it's another reset for Brisbane, but a chance for them to wipe the slate clean and go about bringing the fans back and bringing the goodwill back.
Yeah, and that was the message given by Kaz and Zach in their opening press conference, was that they want the club to be back part of the community, and people feel that they're a part of it again. There's probably been a little bit of a disconnect there in that area. What better than have 2 ex-players and players who really know what it's all about.
And an Australian Cup run certainly doesn't hurt. You can see the momentum that it can build. Not so much about expectations for the season ahead and what might happen over the course of a long A-League men's season, but just to feel good because you might win a trophy. I mean, that's
exactly.
its own prize, it's its own value.
And then you get qualification through to the Asian competition as well. And the more competitive matches before the season starts, the better anyway. So why not have a long, deep run into the competition?
And there are the MacArthur head honchos, Mile Stajovski watching on. Of course, his team in action tomorrow against the Perth Glory. No harm getting a look at a couple of A-League rivals that will be coming up in the season. Maybe later in the Cup if things go well. Of course, the winner of Perth Glory or MacArthur will have a trip to Adelaide to take on Campbelltown City, one of their NPL clubs. As we know, MacArthur were able to pick off those NPL outfits with a plum on the way to winning the trophy last campaign. Here are the Jets. They're livening up again, but that pass is hit to the advantage of Josh Insera. His clearance is chopped out for a throw. Bulls have certainly got issues. The team Stajovski was coaching this time last year, the academy team, are currently bottom of New South Wales NPL and look like they're almost certainly going to get relegated. So top to bottom, the club is still a work in progress. Certainly coming back to defend the trophy that they won last season will be a top priority. Aquilina not able to get the better of Boss. Victory playing dangerously out of their penalty area, a string of passes. Barely able to get to the edge of the defensive third. Grozos, and now Piscopo in space. This is where he can go to work. Bahaja is there on the tight angle, and he's not able to hook it back.
Well, they're persistent with the playing out from the back, Melbourne Victory. Newcastle Jets are pushing more players forward. Some success. It's not a bad ball there. As you can see, just couldn't quite wrap the foot around that and loop it central to his teammate. They are pressing high with numbers, the Jets, waiting for an opportunity.
Again, in the penalty area, this is where Victory have been trapped, trying to find an outlet. Boss, the ball hit his standing leg. Aquilina comes through, and there's a recovery from the Victory youngster. You'll see it out if you've only joined us in-game. Yes, he is the younger brother of the recently capped Socceroo, Gordy, who was such a success for Melbourne City last season before his big move to Europe. Moragas to shouts of his name. Has to go all the way back to Nada. Tony Popovic is repeatedly asking his defence to push up here, so how much of that is adhering to every word the coach shouts versus assessing your level of comfort in the game situation, because they're the ones out there that have to defend Trent Bahadur if he breaks the line.
Yeah, I guess rule number one is usually listen to the gaffer. But if he can see why you're staying a little deeper to close down that space and the opportunity for the pace in behind. Dane Ingham up there as well, who's also very quick.
Short-lived venture forward for Adams, however. Second chance coming for Valadon. This is neat work from Victory. Constantopoulos. Stefan Negro getting up the pitch. His position in defence, but Victory are back to the centre.
That was almost a carbon copy on the other side, wasn't it? Constantopoulos earlier in the game looking for someone on the right-hand side to overlap. On that occasion, he was standing there with his arms wide saying, well, who's going to run into that space on the left?
Adams slipping it through here. Constantopoulos is caught behind Natta and will ultimately go out for a goal kick. This is all very important for Nathan Constantopoulos. Just 50 total minutes last season, and that was from 10 substitute appearances. So he was coming back from a long-term injury and very much getting reacclimatised to A-League football. But I mean, when you've had a season where you only got to play 50 minutes, you're desperate to just get out and play.
And I'm sure they would have spoke about how long he should play, but I'm sure he'll say, look, just give me as many minutes under my belt as I can get, please.
Still really barely feels like he's joined from Adelaide. Yeah. Victory having a difficult season. Finals were off the table pretty early doors, and even though he has made 10 appearances for his new club, feels like this is now setting down the marker of really arriving and getting on with the next phase of his career.
Yeah, and it's always difficult too, long-term injuries, managing that comeback, and also the mental side of it. Being out for such a long time, so little minutes over a long period.
So we see Juratovic here with a less than subtle foul. Adam Juratovic from the Bentley Greens, another team with a great history in this Australia Cup via the Dandenong Thunder. Quietly admit, Macca, that as a Melburnian, it's one of the great shames of the Cup that Dandenong Thunder still haven't made it into the round of 32. I'd love to see a game out at George Andrews Reserve. The Albanian community would draw, I think, conservatively 3,000 if they ever got a home tie in the round of 32. They would rally, but they've just never made it. They've never made it to that stage. One to file away for our national audience.
Why is that, Teo?
It's a tough cup to win. Warren Moon, NPL Victoria, is the centre of the universe. No, it's just genuinely tough, and especially when they've had a couple of relegations in the last 15 years and got back into the top flight, and sometimes your priorities are just different rather than a cup run, like football everywhere, really. So we're just over 10 minutes of regulation until half-time, and what do you see, Macca, that Melbourne Victory can start to do to build into this game and try to find an equaliser?
Well, they have found it a little difficult at times to play out through the Newcastle press. You can see there the Newcastle front line is basically a 4, and the two midfielders step in right behind as well. On the occasions they have done it, they get into these kind of positions and do get forward. Constantopoulos on the ball a couple of occasions in the front third, and there's no real support play. You need the fullbacks to get forward and try and join in the play.
On this occasion, Valadon turning into trouble, but Daningham wasn't able to strip him of the ball, and now Victory move at speed. Lino flipping the field. Boss getting forward. Lino was on the underlap, but Boss couldn't find him. Aquilina's done well. And now he's shielding and protecting the ball. Lino might get another chance here. Knew exactly where Casey Boss was. Konstantopoulos into the box, and Brandon O'Neill, clean as you like, winning the ball away. And now Bahaja can hit back in the other direction. Piscopo makes a run. Bahaja, he's found Clayton Taylor. It's Taylor, blocked away. A bit of backspin on the ball will take it to Stefan Negro. But that's what the game needed, a bit of end-to-end just to stretch the pitch.
Yeah, well, Lino must have heard what I said, because as I said, the fullbacks need to join the play. He's advanced forward with the ball, played it forward and made a little darting run in behind, but it was well defended by Aquilina. And then Brandon O'Neill as well to play the ball forward. Taylor there in the end giving away a free kick and letting Melbourne Victory out really under pressure.
So will that encourage Victory that they were able to make some headway on their last attacking foray? Actually, thanks to that man, Franco Lino. One of his brothers, he's one of 6 siblings, Jackson, played NPL in Victoria for a number of clubs. And of course, continuing the amazing contribution that the South Sudanese community has made to the game in Australia. Here's a long ball now for Boss. He's trying to do it all himself here against Aquilina. Good use of the body to hold off Aquilina, and he went right up to the limit of a foul with that shove, but was able to win the ball back with good physical play. And now Ingham dashing forward at the other end. Dane Ingham, the cut across. And Taylor, it's deflected out for a corner.
Well, that's good play from Dane Ingham. Saw the space, knew he had the pace to drive and get into the box. I think he may have just slipped as he looked to play the ball across here. He was just stretching a little, wasn't he? The ball came all the way across to Clayton Taylor. His deflected shot goes wide. But he does have pace, Dane Ingham. It's not Bahaja, just Bahaja they have to worry about.
So a corner kick to be taken by Reno Piscopo. Victory have got the height advantage of the two teams. However, Natta wins the header here. Didn't get much further than the next defender though. Piscopo dances on the ball and then wins himself another corner.
Well, I'm sure Tony Popovic will expect a better defensive effort on that first ball in. In the last one, Mark Natta was just standing there and basically had a free header.
Piscopo, this time it's first header from a teammate again, but Dane Ingham opening up the body and watches it sail across the face.
And again, Newcastle Jets first to the cross. Dane Ingham unable to guide the ball on target. But you said to her that Melbourne Victory had the height. No one really attacking the ball as it's delivered in from Reno Piscopo.
Grozos. Right up the middle he goes. Bozanovsky with the interception. Valadon just bides his time. Philip Canchara is happy to double back, just take his time in possession. Do you think there's a minute in the second half where Victory will start to press a little bit higher, or are the conditions and circumstances oppressive enough that starting at halfway is about as far as they'd want to push the envelope?
Oh, look, I'm sure they'll look to make some substitution and get some fresh bodies on there, but if the scoreline remains as is, you would look to see, or hope to see, some proactive changes in their tactics. Maybe get a little bit more pace on up top.
Taylor slides it sideways to Ingham, a neat touch off Piscopo! And that was just across the face, but a slick move from the Jets. And Reno Piscopo, his eyes lit up once he saw that shooting chance.
Yeah, nice play again. Taylor We've seen Dane Ingham come in from that right-hand side on a number of occasions tonight. Lovely little back heel there, and Piscopo not too far wide. He's always going to take the opportunity in those areas.
Wouldn't mind getting real-time Snicko out there. I could swear that was a corner. It sounded like it took a deflection on the way through, but not to be. Out for a goal kick. Here's Lino. Just a stop and prop here, though. Not able to extend the attack into the attacking half. 5 minutes of regulation to go in the first half. First of 2 Australia Cup playoffs on consecutive nights in Darwin. A bit of enterprise right from the centre of defence for Victory, but it slides long down to Ryan Scott. Back of the Northern New South Wales qualifier for the Australia Cup will play at home. Broadmeadow Magic in the round of 32. Without getting you into any trouble with your neighbours and fellow city inhabitants, what can we expect from them this year?
Yeah, look, Broadmeadow Magic, we've got Sydney United, and we've got a good mix of some really good young players.
As we see Negro dealing with the long ball here. We'll come back to that in a moment, because Victory have been a little shaky playing out from this exact position in the half. They need composure now as the Jets press a few forward, but that's exactly what they've got. From deep in midfield, a long ball hoping to release Boss, but across comes Aquilina, who's had that right back position on lockdown. And a tangle of legs here will get Newcastle out of the defensive half with a foul.
Yeah, we're getting back to Broadmeadow Magic. They've got a good, young, talented squad. A few ex-Jets youth players as well. There's a player called Bailey Wells, who lots of people in Newcastle, myself included, think very highly of. He's also a very intelligent young man. He's got scholarships for aeronautical engineering and an internship with Boeing. And he took the smarter option, I would say, and he's doing his uni degree in that and playing football for Broadmeadow, where I think could easily be part of the Jets system still.
Jets on the attack here with Ingham winning a corner. Of course, Newcastle accompanied by 2 fellow city inhabitants in the round of 32. We'll stay with this corner for now, though, as they try to double their lead right at the end of the half. There's a look at how Bozanovski dealt with it at the near post. Last 2 corners have met a Jet head first. Can Victory stand tough here? Piscopo has been on the money with his set-piece delivery so far. Can he make it 3 from 3? So Grozos is presenting a short option, but Piscopo wants to put this one in the box. Beyond the far post he goes. Natta, first head, no power behind it, and held on to. Be remiss of me not to mention the other Northern New South Wales team. They're both at home, so if you're in Newcastle, could be a bumper round of 32 for you, because Edgeworth are taking on Western United. And on the Cup setometer, how excited are you getting about that one? We saw Western United go out to an NPL team in Sydney United last season. Yeah. I thought you were teasing me by not mentioning Edgeworth earlier on. Obviously, my club, but they've got a young team as well. And it's quite tight in the Northern New South Wales League this season. The top 6 or 7 teams all within 2 wins of each other, so it's very competitive. We mentioned the Jets' best result in the Cup is a quarter-final berth, so maybe this is Newcastle's year, the Jets and the NPL teams. Still, of course, got the remainder of this half and 45 minutes to go just to punch their ticket to the round of 32, though, the Jets. And as long as it's the odd goal, some of these young upstarts in the Victory team might just fancy their chances of making a name for themselves tonight. Here's Valadon. slowed down just enough for Newcastle to get everyone in place and win possession back with some zonal defending. This is a weaving run from Moragas, and he's able to buy a foul at the end of it, and that will take us into stoppage time at the end of the first 45, of which there will be just the 1 minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee has indicated a minimum of 1 minute of added time. 1 minute.
Halftime team talk if you're Tony Popovich.
Well, I think you won't be too displeased. They've been a little bit slow in their movement of the ball through the Jets. When they do actually get through that first line, they've not really moved the ball quickly enough. The Jets have been allowed to recover. Maybe we'll look to maybe mix it up a little bit more, miss out that first line and look to play a target. He may make some changes, bring on the likes of Falami and Valupale.
Perfect end of the half was on offer there, but it flashes past Bahaja, who ultimately didn't stick out a leg. And that should get the victory to half-time. Only one in arrears. That cross from Brandon O'Neill, indeed it does. And so Trent Bahaja has the only goal. Newcastle definitely dominating territory. But some of the young Melbourne Victory players are showing what they're capable of, and you just never know in a cup tie. Half-time though, it's Newcastle Jets 1, Melbourne Victory 0. And stay with us here on 10 Play. We've got plenty coming. Welcome back to the Australia Cup, half-time, and there was plenty of physical willingness in the game. A couple of thrills and spills, and both A-League teams getting a feel for what it's like to be back with the competitive juices flowing. It's pretty hard to turn off regardless of the month or the circumstances. And at half-time, it is Newcastle Jets leading Melbourne Victory 1-0 at Larrakia Park in Darwin. Great to see some Victory fans, whether local or travelling, making their way in, and it's a football community in Darwin that loves to get behind this stadium and their local league. Let's take a look at the goal that separates the teams to this point of this Australia Cup tie. Danny McBreen, it was Trent Bahagia making amends for his miss earlier in the half.
Yeah, he got a hold of this one, probably didn't connect with it, and the goalkeeper error. Taleb won't want to see that again, but it was good work down the left-hand side. Little 1-2, Lucas Moragas, and as the ball got clipped into a good area, you see there two Melbourne Victory defenders going for the ball at once, and it's a tame finish, but it gives Newcastle Jets 1-0 lead that they've probably deserved on the state of the game. They have had the most opportunities and field position as well, and you see there, just almost goes in slow motion, doesn't it, past the keeper. You can see Trent Bahagia's response as well. Yep, it's in. Okay, well, we'll celebrate.
And that was his first half so far. He got trapped offside a couple of times, but for the most part has been looking to stretch the defences we've become so accustomed to seeing from him.
Yeah, well, we're so used to him with his pace. We've seen Melbourne Victory sit a little deeper, probably trying to not give him so much space to run into, as we see the local fans enjoying the night.
All right, let's get into some of the chances, because it was certainly a lot more than just the goal that we had to mull over in the first 45. Dane Ingham was providing a forward presence. I mean, Newcastle had recast him somewhat as a fullback or a wing-back at times, but he's been a real dedicated forward in this half.
Yeah, and that was an opportunity for Trent Bahagia earlier on. This was one of the limited opportunities, and this is where Standopoulos picked up the ball, and he's looking for someone to overlap him and create some space. But he does well, turns inside, and I think that was probably the only real shot of the first half for Eli Adams. The rest of the time it was mainly the Jets putting a lot of pressure on. It was Bahagia and Dane Ingham causing most problems in behind. Probably on another night they may have had more of a lead, but this was a great run from Dane Ingham, using his pace. Looks to cut it back to Bahagia, but it ends up riding all the way through to Leighton Taylor. He's been a bit of a threat as well. As you can see from the highlights, most of the play has been from the Newcastle Jets. Both sides, and this was a good opportunity for Reno Piscopo on the edge of the box, a well-worked move. And again, Dane Ingham coming in off that right-hand side into the central areas and joining up with his teammates.
Do the numbers tell us much other than the score at the moment?
Not really. I think we could see the stats on where the game has been played. It's been almost consistently played in Melbourne Victory's half. When Melbourne Victory have had that ball and that 50% possession, it really has been towards their own penalty box, looking to try and get out through the Newcastle Jets press.
So the second half of Melbourne Victory, they are still very much in the game. They can start to create a little bit more and just create a few nerves for this Newcastle team. Hope you're enjoying the Australia Cup coverage on 10 Play. Don't forget, tomorrow night we're back at Larrakia Park. It's the holders Macarthur. They take on Perth Glory. And, well, you don't want to see the holders drop out too soon, do you? Or do you? If you're from Perth, you certainly do. And the Glory starting... well, not quite starting their new era yet, because it's still interim manager Kenny Lowe in charge, but he's loving life as the temporary gaffer in charge. And of course, it's all part of the big Winter Festival of Football, which you can catch on Network 10. Tottenham against West Ham tomorrow night. Come on, if you're watching this, you'll be here with us on the Australia Cup, won't you? I'm pretty sure you will. But if you want to just meander over to Ange Postecoglou's first game in charge of Spurs, I won't hold it against you. I might have that open on the phone. What a fantastic night we have coming up tomorrow. Of course, the Winter Festival of Football right here on Channel 10.
Salah passes to Rashford. Oh, lovely from Rashford. Rashford crosses, and Harry Kane is there. He's done it. What a goal! And Postecoglou is loving this.
Check it out.
World-class teams, world-class players. The Winter Festival of Football on Paramount Plus.
Some mountain of world-class football.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for both teams as they're coming out for the second half.
Welcome back to the Australia Cup from Darwin. It's the playoff tonight, and as things stand, the Newcastle Jets, thanks to Trent Bahaja's goal, lead Melbourne Victory 1-0 in this win-or-go-home affair. And we've got word that Reno Piscopo's night will only last 45 minutes because there is Newcastle born and raised Archie Goodwin coming on for the start of the second half. Of course, was part of the Australia under-20 team that competed in Uzbekistan, the AFC Under-19 Championships. Scored in that tournament against Qatar, and he'll be hoping to bring his goal-scoring touch to the Australia Cup as we kick off the second half here. Melbourne Victory have made a substitution as well. Will Wilson is on at the start of the second half. 9 appearances and 1 start last season, so got a bit of a taste of senior football. There he is, Will Wilson, still very much early in his career, and he's come on for Nathan Konstantopoulos, so I don't get to use the stat that Konstantopoulos will have played more minutes tonight than he did in all of last season, because he's off at 45, and last season it was 50 in total, but it's all about minutes in the legs at this point of the season. And of course, Wilson is not that long graduated from the Victory Academy, so he'll be out to show that he's a cut above after an A-League off-season.
Yeah, and I was impressed with Will Wilson when I did see of him last season. He was introduced into games, looks to get on the ball, very eager to get the ball and move the ball forward. Always went looking for it. In the A-League games he was thrown into. So a bright young prospect. And for the Newcastle Jets, Archie Goodwin coming into the game, someone that lots of Novocastrians would have loved to have seen a lot more of. He's had the odd injury concern over the past couple of seasons, but another good young talent.
I see. We'll stay with this phase of play before we come back to Archie Goodwin, because Adams is bending the ball out to the right and Wilson is looking to make an immediate impact. The pass on the underlap here, Victory were in. And ultimately, Nishan Velupale, who's come on at halftime as well, is denied as the ball is turned behind for a corner kick.
Well, it's good play, introduction. Newcastle Jets defence there, just leaving Nishan Velupale in all kinds of space. Kenja just got back in time to get the block on.
Of course, Velupale scored back in February against the Newcastle Jets, one of his 5 A-League goals. Corner in at the near post. It's a different looking Victory here at the start of the second half. And Wilson watches Natter play the ball back to his keeper, Ryan Scott. It's one thing Victory will be looking to do, just spend a lot more time in their attacking half, given how much time they spent defending in the first 45. You can move your silver Subaru Forester, that'd be much appreciated. Great work by the ground announcer. And here's a long shot attempted from Valadon, but blocked and curtailed almost immediately. Lino. Victory possessing the ball. Wilson. Lino. Valadon. A neat little flick on. Lino. Still being guarded. Ingham's followed him back into the defensive third. Lino trying to find a gap for Wilson. And the Jets are able to prevent conceding a corner.
Well, that's probably the first sustained period of time we've seen Melbourne Victory with possession in Newcastle Jets opposition's half. Lino heading forward, looking to join in the attack.
Brisk exchange of passes, but Victory are forced to concede almost back to the halfway line in order to reset. And Sarah playing the pass to Negro. Now Adams attracting 2 defenders. Found a gap, clever little back heel as well, coming from Menelau. And Valadon's pass. Just forcing a bit of a... Oh, what a good save. Ryan Scott able to bat it away. First time he's been called into action tonight. And Melbourne Victory's bright first 5 minutes of the second half starting to bear fruit.
Well, Nishan Velupale He's been involved in everything going forward since he's come on. There's a nice little bit of interplay and a great strike. Oh, Scott diving away to his near post there.
Score now, and it really will set up a very compelling second half. Flicked on at the near post at the corner. It sits up, and O'Neill is a cool head in a crisis. And now Bahaja is able to use his straight line speed to escape. Just ran into two defenders. Victory have to reset with their goalkeeper, Ahmed Taleb. Long ball from Insera. Flipping the field over to the left. Trying to find a gap where there wasn't one. Vilupale, he's saying he was fouled. Referee doesn't agree. Hard to miss, of course, given the bright yellow fluoro that Victory are wearing.
Looks like he's won a corner. He wanted the free kick or down near the halfway, and they've ended up with a corner.
Wilson steps out his runner. In at the near post again. It's a bit of a chaotic situation, headed down out of the 6-yard box. Archie Goodwin trying to hold the ball up. Through comes Vilupale. And out of the sea of legs, Newcastle are able to clear. Bahaja. Oh, Juratovic there begging to be yellow carded with that foul, and Jack Morgan obliges.
Yep. Knew he couldn't keep up with Trent Bahaja. Stuck the arm out. Plenty of teammates back there, so maybe didn't need to do that. But it's been a much better start to the second half for Melbourne Victory. Caused a couple of problems for Newcastle Jets.
Sarah knocks Taylor off the ball. Confirmation of the yellow card for Adem Juratovic. Now a tussle ensues between Aquilina and Vilupale. See the ball hugging the paint of the line and eventually finds its way out. Victory bench thought there was a free kick, none forthcoming.
It's a nice little battle ensuing over on that far side.
Natter switching flanks for Newcastle. They can quash this Victory resistance with a second goal. Grozos slides the pass to Ingham, holds his ground. Bahaja. The shot just kept rising on an acute angle. He was able to slide into a shooting position.
Well, it was a little scrappy in the build-up. It was Dane Ingham again, battling away just inside in the pocket. And he finally did get his head up. Trent Bahaja had made a nice little run in behind again. And that was another good opportunity to test the keeper.
Possession cuffed up here. Juratovic, bit of ping pong between two Victory players, but they work it out. Menelau playing it back to Lino. And now Wilson. Valadon keeps it moving. See there at the top left of your screen, confirmation of Bruno Piscopo's departure from the game, but still very early in pre-season for him. Casey Boss is the man replaced by Nishan Vilupale. Will Wilson, of course, came on for Nathan Konstantopoulos. Here's Moragas. His cross led to the goal in the first half. He's going to feed it out to the left, and Clayton Taylor here. Swinging in a ball and a bit too much on it as it goes over the head of Archie Goodwin. Now, I was going to ask you about Archie Goodwin. He's no longer wearing the pieces of tape around his knees. Is this signs that his various injury ailments are starting to leave him, and we can look forward to a lot more game time from him in the coming season?
Well, let's hope so. I think that was something to do with his growing his knees, but he also had minor back surgery in the off-season, which was to correct some issues. He came through that fine, and now he's fighting fit and ready to go. So hopefully we see the best of him from now on.
The back heel here is a little sign of that. Ingham collapsed out of the way. Attack still going for the Jets, though. Taylor. Now to Moragas on the left. Plays it back to Clayton Taylor. Clever pass. Moragas in space. Engages the defender, though, and is happy with a corner rather than playing a ball.
Well, yeah, he had the opportunity there, didn't he? It was a perfectly weighted pass from Taylor for him to just step onto it first time and play it across the box. He had teammates central, opted to take the touch. I'm thinking in that moment, it was lost. If you see there, if he just could clip that or fire that across there, the moment was lost. Stefan Negro did well defensively.
So the Jets have a corner. Taleb bounces up and down on the line, in at the near post, cleared at the near post. However, Newcastle trying to win possession back. Vilupale. He's got issues here with Moragas, who's caught him on the ankle. Now, the reason that we're both so enthusiastic about Archie Goodwin is when I say natural goal scorer, I think about someone whose shots go in and someone who knows where to stand in order to just get the ball in a position they can score from. You have obviously been there and done it in the A-League, scoring a heap of goals. What do you see in Archie Goodwin that makes you so excited about it?
Well, number one, he has pace, which always helps in the modern game. But his movement and the positions he gets himself into, he has a natural striker's ability to make the runs to get himself into the right areas. He also has the knack of, when he gets in those right areas, he can finish. And more often than not, I've seen it on the training park that you put him into certain positions and he puts that ball into the back of the net.
That's what the Jets will be hoping to provide him with here. The service to let him go to work. First onto the scene, scoring on his debut. He doesn't need much of a look. I mentioned he scored against Qatar at the Under-19 Asian Cup. It was his only appearance at the tournament, and he was on for barely minutes. I remember in this round, the corresponding round last Australia Cup, he got subbed on in stoppage time against the Perth Glory, and I think he came on in the 93rd and scored in the 95th. He just knows where to go, and it's innate, isn't it? The instincts of knowing where the ball is going to go.
Yeah. And it's an instinct to move. When everyone else is watching the ball, you just drift off the shoulder of a defender, or you look like you're going to go towards the ball and spin around and move into the positions in behind, and he does it so well. He's got a long way to go. He hasn't played much football over the course of the last few seasons, so a lot of learning and a lot of experience to come.
I believe he is entering year 2 of a 3-year contract at the Jets, so still very much going to be the hometown hero for a while yet. Of course, if you perform in this league, there's now ample evidence that overseas scouts are watching and they see Australia as great value. I see the news cycle today suggesting that Callum Nieuwenhof will be moving on from Western Sydney Wanderers for a nice little earn for the club. And it comes in an off-season where a number of A-League talents have been sold to quite lofty levels of overseas football.
Yeah, I would like to see the stats. If someone out there can put it together of the most transfers.
We'll stay with Lino here. Victory on the move. A half chance, though, quickly extinguished. The Jets through Ingham. Crowd in the grandstand enjoyed his trickery. It's going to launch a counter-attack. This will suit Bahaja to a tee. He plays the early ball. Archie Goodwin does what Archie Goodwin does! And the assistant referee is not in on the fun.
No, well, we spoke about his timing and his runs. Well, he just drifted into an offside position. It was great play from Dane Ingham down the right, but in his quest to get his position in front of the defender, block the defender's run. He actually put himself in an offside position, but there's a warning sign for A-League teams of what he can do.
Rob Standard's up.
Oh, well, he's behind the ball there, isn't he?
Oh, Andrew Memorakis is the assistant referee on the outer side, and quite simply, that should be a goal.
Yeah, well, we said he put himself in an offside position. Well, he didn't. He timed it to perfection. He ran across the defender. Great ball from Bahaja. Tucked it away, and unfortunately, they've got that one wrong.
No VAR at this round of the Australia Cup. Will that be one of those incidents? Newcastle, they remember that, not to bring it up, sorry Jets fans, they remember that grand final in 2018. They remember that the VAR wasn't working. They remember it was Melbourne victory with the heist in the Hunter. Sorry, tick off your bingo cards, but I guess, you know, if there was ever something that could turn the game, Macca, it might be that.
Well, yeah, I don't think there's as much riding on this one as that one, but I guess
it compounds over time. It's like compounding interest. You know, this is only a lesser stature game. It's not quite a grand final, but it's the existing history, the law between the two teams. The Jets want to make it a moot point. They know that Archie Goodwin's got his shooting boots on, if nothing else. You see Brandon O'Neill here. Diagonal ball. Goodwin holds it up. Clayton Taylor wants to go direct. Goodwin lost his footing at the key moment. However, there's a follow-up for Costa. Grozos with a bender. Bending into the grasp of Talib.
For the first 5 or so minutes, Melbourne Victory really came out of the blocks in the second half, and caused Newcastle Jets a few problems, but the tide seems to be swinging back a little towards the Jets. They've created the last 2 or so opportunities.
Ball is moved at speed to Will Wilson. Couple of runners breaking in the middle for victory. Wilson cuts it back, and oh, it's given back to him. He's going to tee it up here. Oh, and the equalizer is denied by a deflection. So close. Eli Adams would have thought he'd scored when it left the boot, and somehow it's only out for a corner.
Well, it looked like the ball was getting cleared out. Will Wilson was having none of it, and as it came back to Eli Adams, Lucas Moragas put his body on the line. You can see there, everyone thought the ball was going out. Lovely vision and a lovely weighted pass, and Lucas Moragas just does just enough to keep that from going in the net.
If anything, the deflection made it even more dangerous, because Ryan Scott may well have been diving into the path of the ball. Anyway, here's the corner. Valadon hangs it high, and it just bends out of the penalty area, so the moment is lost for victory. And now Bahaja, he's not going to go right up to top speed. And Lino does well to get it back to his goalkeeper.
He showed a good turn of pace there, didn't he? Trent Bahaja had it in mind that he was going to knock that pass and just go around him. And Lino had other ideas there. Great turn of pace.
Important, of course, with the game still in the balance. I feel like a second goal would be beyond victory's capability of a comeback, but as long as they linger, you see Ben Falami there in the background getting a talking to from the coaches. Victory, this might be where they make their move. Wilson, Villupale, the first touch abandoned him at the key moment. Now Goodwin drawn very deep into the midfield to help out his teammates as they look to move through Aquilina. And we've got a game. It's been a much livelier second half. Headed away by Bozanovsky. Goodwin follows up, willed himself onto the ball. Here's Ingham. Moragas doesn't like his options central, has to go back to Natta. O'Neill. Jets with numbers in the box. Ingham. Well, it was a difficult pass to bring under his control, and he ran out of room up against the line. Goal kick the result, and that might prompt the sub here that brings Ben Falami into the game. And it's number up for Adem Juranovic. A good showing from the youngster, but a more experienced Ben Falami comes on. Incredibly, just the one A-League men's goal in 26 appearances last season. And it takes his tally to 7 in 55 starts, 69 total appearances. So if there's one thing he would love to do, it is quite simply score more goals.
Yeah, it was a problem for Victory last year, wasn't it? Right across that front line. There was no one really standing up. You know, Fornaroli was the man who ended up in the most goals for the season for the club, but they need to pitch in across the board a little more.
It feels as though Victory are really right up to their ears in this one now. They look distinctly second best in the first half, but it's a real contest at the moment. And the Jets want to let it slip. We spoke in the first half about how it's home ties for both Broadmeadow Magic and Edgeworth in the round of 32, and Newcastle could make it a trio of Newcastle teams. They've got to hold up their end of the bargain as the ball bounces to the edge of the box here. Aquilina dispossessed. Velupile trying to escape. Wilson. Plays it back to Lino. Now Valadon. And O'Neill intercepts the ball and knocks it away. Let's not underestimate the heat, of course, at 29 degrees at kickoff. Not peak humidity, it's... Is it dry season humidity or wet season humidity? I'll be told in a moment. But it's not the max. It's not as bad as it can get.
It's obviously a lot worse during those summer months. I think that's when the rains come as well. Humidity goes through the roof.
Newcastle happy to stand off. They're the ones with the goal in pocket. Victory are the ones that need to make the play. Wozanovski. Wilson. He has been a catalyst. He's really driven the lift in intensity. Velupile coming with him. Corner kick.
Well, Will Wilson, since coming on, has been involved in everything going forward, linking up with Velupile on a number of occasions to create opportunities. Time, Velupile just getting in behind. See there, nice little ball in behind. He looks across and he had two runners and they both had gone, you see there, just coming into frame into the 6-yard box. Maybe one could go in and one could just hold their run for the second option.
Corner emphatically headed away by Ingham. Now Goodwin finds himself in a duel with Wilson. Valadon's there waiting for the spill. Wilson does it all himself, bouncing back to his feet. But he's happy to reset in midfield. Menelau. Valadon. Adams. Knew where his man was. Falami on the right. Ben Falami. Locked away, and this time only a throw. Stefan Negro hurdles through 2. 3 was one man too many. Happy to catch a breather here. Stefan Negro. Falami. Spinning Ben Falami at the edge of the box. Adams, Valadon. Falami once more. On the spin, and Ryan Scott is sharply down to hold on and prevent Nishan Velupile.
Well, he did well there, Ryan Scott, because that ball was skipping off the surface towards that back post area. Came out off his line quickly, got down and held.
Now here's a curly question for you. If you had to pick today, who's going to actually win the Australia Cup? There are so many variables. You can throw a blanket over all of them. Of course, we had an NPL or a non-A-League team. We'll stay with play here. Archie Goodwin. Archie Goodwin. What a touch! What a goal! They can't take that one off him. You leave him anywhere inside the penalty area, he's deadly, he does it again. He is Archie Goodwin.
Well, you said it, Teo, they can't take that one off him. It was all too easy as far as Tony Popovic would have been concerned. Quick throw in taken, you see there the quick thinking to take off. Nice little touch inside, and from that area he's deadly. Really good striker play, quick to get into the box, assesses the situation, nice touch inside, onto his left foot, and finishes at that near post area. And that's what he can do. We've been talking about him for a while now, and he's given us a glimpse. He's had one chalked off that he should have had, and now he goes and doubles the lead.
He is a refreshing antithesis to the commentator's curse, Archie Goodwin, because I've found that we can't talk him up enough. Every time we say, this kid is special, he's a natural goal scorer, he can do amazing things with limited minutes and opportunities, and then he goes and shows us what he can do. Jets are making a substitution here. Costa Grozos is leaving the game, and on comes Callum Timmins. And it looks as though Clayton Taylor's first senior appearance in Newcastle colours is also coming to an end. And it is the Darwin-raised Northern Territory local, James Bayliss, who has come on via the Central Coast Academy. I am reliably informed. Sorry, Lachlan Bayliss, I should say.
Yep, Lachlan Bayliss.
I knew you were giving me a strange look at that.
I was just looking at my notes. So I'm like...
Apologies to the Bayliss family. But yes, Lachlan Bayliss is on.
Yep. He's been at the Mariners for the past few years. Was at the Jets as a younger, as his brother was as well. Both decided to make the move to the Mariners, and he's back.
Victory now in a 2-goal hole. Falami. Can they breathe some life back into this cup tie? Has Goodwin's goal extinguished all hope? Bahaja. Newcastle have got a bit of space to work with in the middle here. Moragas just drifting. And they're happy to slow things down. Adams. Falami. That's the scene he's looking at. Not much by way of support. Newcastle have got all of their defenders in midfield back, and that means they won't be looking to break too quickly here. As we mentioned, the winner of this tie will take on the Brisbane Roar in the round of 32.
Well, it's just really killed the game, hasn't it? That second goal from the Newcastle Jets. Well, victory weren't without their chances to draw level. And now the Jets can afford to just shuffle that ball around and entice victory out.
I can confirm it is currently the dry season in Darwin. Big thanks to my former co-commentator on the Northern Territory Men's Premier League, John Dean, saying it gets up to about 70 to 80% humidity in the wet season. So there you go.
I'm glad we've cleared that up.
Well, I think that players aren't going to be pushing themselves into the red in these last 15 minutes here. If Victory can grab a goal back, that'll maybe heighten their level of enthusiasm for the contest. But Newcastle with a 2-goal buffer at the moment, it's largely on their terms. Must be said, a much improved showing from Victory in this second half, though.
Yeah, definitely. I think Will Wilson and Sean Valupale have had a bit of a say in that as well. We've also got Ben Falami out there now, plenty of experience. Tony Popovic will be looking to those three in particular to really spark something in this final 15 minutes.
O'Neill. Moragas, confirmation of the change. Clayton Taylor coming off for Lachlan Bayliss. Here's O'Neill again. Pinned in their penalty area. Moragas uses his left foot, a whipping ball that ends up flashing through the box and not able to connect a teammate. The referee eventually finds a foul in Nishan Velupile's favour. There's another look at the free kick. Well, if we are on track to say goodbye to one of the Victorian teams in the Cup, Macca, I might grill you about some of these Cup ties involving Victorian teams, because we don't have a Melbourne team playing tomorrow. It's Perth Glory against Macarthur. Same time, same place, 10 play if you want to join us. So stay with Victory on the attack for now. And unfortunately for them, breaks down. Now, the Goulburn Valley Suns in Shepparton hosting Apia Leichhardt. I can tell you the form line, it's not the greatest for the Suns. They played the Doherty Cup semi-final against Heidelberg. Heidelberg went down to 10 men, a goal up in about the 24th minute, and still went on to win 5-0, which would suggest that Apia, who are currently 11 points clear at the top of New South Wales NPL, unless they make them walk to the ground, they're probably starting as favourites.
I think they might be favourites for that one. They've been on some fine form in the New South Wales Premier League this year, Apia.
Of course, giant killers of years gone by. Some of the great moments provided to the competition by Apia Leichhardt, but Goulburn Valley Suns just getting to the round of 32 as a regional team is an achievement in itself. Here's Bayliss playing the ball to Goodwin. And there won't be quite as much protestation that he's run offside on this occasion, and that's going to prompt more activity next to the fourth official. And Eli Adams will be coming off as part of a double change here. We're going to see Timothy Atherinos getting an opportunity. He's yet to make his A-League men's debut, but he's a youngster who was previously at Nunawading City and previously before that South Springvale. Why does that matter? Because you might remember back in year 1 of the FFA Cup, South Springvale made the round of 16. And here's the other change coming for Victory now. Matthew Bozanovsky. His night is over at the centre of defence. It means that Ryan Lethlean has come on. Lethlean, who's also yet to make his senior A-League men's debut, but he's a regular in Victory's academy team. Before that, Moreland City was his home club. Here he is on the ball now. So Victory getting a look at a couple more of their academy prospects for the last 13 minutes or so. Valadon, he hasn't stopped trying. Wilson. Valami, a look at him on the left flank now. We've seen him on the right. It's not working out for him here. He slipped. And the Jets can come away with possession. Bahaja weaving through the Victory defence and unable to find a teammate as he took them on single-handedly. Ball from deep. Wilson over the top. Velupile. Nishan Velupile puts his head down, takes on Kanchar. And he jags towards the byline, but he jagged a bit too far. All right, next tie. A classic Queensland versus Victoria struggle. Moreton Bay United versus Heidelberg United in Brisbane. You'd have to say Moreton Bay are probably narrow favourites. Home ground advantage always makes such a difference. Some clubs love rallying around an away trip, though, don't they?
They do, and I think that's one of the better aspects of this competition, is that teams that don't usually get to travel around the country really embrace the away ties, interstate trips. Gives them a taste of what the professional life is really like, and I think that can really bond the teams. Nothing better than going away to a different state, getting a victory and being able to celebrate as a team. Back in the hotel together. And all that time on the plane home to reminisce about it as well.
The crossfield pass here is out. And then an even more interesting, in my humble opinion, Victoria versus Queensland tie. Melbourne Knights, now coached by Queenslander Ben Kahn, who made a great name for himself in the Queensland NPL, but he's gone down to Melbourne to test himself at a historic former NSL giant in Melbourne Knights. They take on Lions FC. that will be fascinating too. Long ball here. Ryan Scott is out, and he's enthusiastically clearing the ball. And that's a crowd catch to be taken, but Ryan Scott determined to keep his clean sheet intact. Here's Valupale. Drops the shoulder. Folami stops on the ball. Valupale, and not able to link up here. Here goes out of the balloon. Then we've got maybe the giant killing special. We've got in tonight's game, we've seen Alex Menelau. His brother Dennis plays for Northcote City, and they take on Adelaide United. Adelaide, most successful Australia Cup team. It's their trophy. You'd think that away to a second-tier NPL team shouldn't provide too many hassles for them.
Well, they are the most successful team in the competition, but we have seen them go out to NPL position in the past as well.
Do you remember who it was?
You were going to say that.
I saw you walking into it.
It was 2-1, wasn't it? Was it 2-1?
Yeah,
extra time?
Eugene Galekovic with the strange fumble that led to the equaliser.
Thinking of a name like Redlands or something like that.
As the ball goes out for a goal kick, and yes, Circle gets the square. It was indeed Redlands.
It is somewhere in there. Sometimes it's just hard to pull it out to the forefront.
Of course, Adelaide had the unwanted title of being the first A-League champion to be knocked out by an NPL team in the then FFA Cup. And then, as I've grilled you on Victorian teams, last but not least, a battle of two of them. Oakley Cannons, who went on that incredible run last season. Stay with this sub first. Dane Ingham is coming off here, and it's going to be some game time at the end of the night for Daniel Steins, who made a great first impression at the Jets last season after his switch from Perth Glory, so he'll get about 10 minutes, depending on how much stoppage time we have here. But yes, last but not least, Oakley Cannons, who made headlines by putting a 13-year-old goalkeeper on the pitch and really entertaining us every step of the way in the Cup last season. They take on Melbourne City, who will no doubt be licking their wounds, Macca, after losing another grand final.
I think it's probably a case of licking the wounds, but also poking the bear. Has been the dominant force for the last 3 seasons. Maybe not so much in the grand finals, but probably coming back bigger and better and stronger, I would say.
There's confirmation of the sub, Ingham off for Steins. What are you hoping to see from Daniel Steins this year? We'll come back to that after this attack. Here he is on the ball right now and not able to link up with a teammate. But what are you hoping to see from him?
Well, that's what we want to see, him getting on the ball in those kinds of areas and looking to create little opportunities, have willing runners around him in this team. Talk about the likes of Trent Bahadur in behind, Archie Goodwin, Apostolos Stamatolopoulos as well is back after a couple of years overseas. And he needs to be the man that gets on the ball, a la Rene Piscopo, really, in those areas to provide for those guys and give them the opportunities.
Franco Lino down with cramp here. And the fourth official, Daniel Elder, is insisting that this take place with his, see his right foot there. It's in the field. Get off the field. Let's not forget the Jets also tonight without Jacob Dowse, who is signed from the Perth Glory, and also Noah James. So a couple of additional left-sided players there, but it's great for Dowse. Of course, Australia Cup NPL football was a key part of him being picked up by the Perth Glory, and he really made an impression with what he was able to do in his one season there.
Yeah, he did. Look, he was always, he was another one who came through the Jets academy system. And
Wilson, and through the box without so much as a look from a Victory attacker. Lino is back on after the treatment for cramp. Valadon retreats to left lean.
Yeah, just back on Jacob Dowse. He'd had a couple of real terrible knee injuries, which really put a stall on his career at a young age, and ended up at Broadmeadow Magic with Damien Zane as his coach and was looking after him there, and Ruben Zakovic as well had him, I think, before that. He really burst onto the scene last season, didn't he?
He was really sort of a player that will forever be, I think, associated with Macedonia Park. It was the one season Glory spent there and the one season that he spent with the Glory. And I think he was on a run where he had 4 or 5 assists in quick time, and he was a super sub, and he was really making a name for himself.
Yeah, well, I think he was the highest assist getter for Glory last year. And factor in the minutes played, he was probably by a minute far and away above everyone else. But he's headed back home to Newcastle, back in with the family, and looking to settle back in and make an impact in his hometown club.
As the Jets clear up to Bahaja here. Do they have one more in them? Steins, the latest sub, sends it out to Moragas. He's played the full 85 so far, but he's still full of running. Slides it to the edge of the box. Steins is there. Blocked once, blocked twice, and enough to allow Taleb to come out and collect the ball. Again, Daniel Steins is not going to let his short cameo tonight go to waste. He's going to come on and show us what he can do. All right, Macca, like any good interrogator, I had a question at the top, you didn't give me an answer, so I've gone the long way to come back around. Who's going to win the Australia Cup this year? Who's your pick? People are hanging off your prediction here.
Oh, it's so early, it's hard to pick. Obviously, you would think it would be an A-League team, but it would be fantastic if we saw an NPL team get up and go all the way and qualify for a Asian position next season. I just think it's a little too early to tell when a lot of clubs haven't really finalised their squads.
Ball will be whistled dead here after... Oh, referee's going to give advantage, Jack Morgan. Play continues.
So what I've really done there is just avoided the question. Again.
Going to have to get the spotlight in here and shine it on you to get a tip out of you. Fair enough. Look, I guess that's the... We see the ball hit the referee here, but play continued on. Cool score from Jack Morgan, but it is that exciting time of the off-season where clubs start to ramp up the signing announcements and overseas prospects, and that's part of the excitement, I guess. We're not quite going to have what went on in the United States earlier today with Leo Messi being unveiled by Inter Miami, but you still live in hope that there are big names and big prospects. And you know, I saw Alan Halilovic signed for a second division team in Spain, and I'm thinking that's the sort of player that could be legitimately the next Thomas Broich to come out here and rejuvenate his career and change the league in the process.
Well, we've seen plenty of players go the other way this season for good fees, as well as we see crude foul there, a yellow card.
So that's a booking. That'll leave Callum Timmins on notice. He won't want to get suspended for the round of 32 if he picks up another one, but Valami definitely got the better of him there. We've been amusing ourselves for the last 5 minutes, but you know what? If Victory score here, they might just get a minute or two of stoppage time to set up a grand finale and make this a memorable cup tie rather than simply a regulation Newcastle win. Can they create some tension right at the end of the night? The free kick is headed away comfortably enough. Second ball though, Victory still on the attack. Stefan Negro. In Sarah. This is Atherinos. What can he do? Determined to make his mark on the game. However, he's stopped in his tracks by Brandon O'Neill, and now Archie Goodwin comes away. He does have Bahaja ahead of the ball, but the pass isn't forthcoming. There are options out on the left. Bayliss will chase it down. It's Lockie Bayliss. He swings it into Goodwin. And even though he had a free header, he wasn't able to put it on the target.
Well, it was a good counter-attacking sweeping move from the Jets. Started by that man and finished as well. Bayliss did well to track it down, and it's a good ball in. Archie Goodwin had just drifted in between fullback and centre-back, and you can see there he was stretching a little, but he would have thought he should have hit the target there. Good ball from Bayliss, who's been in fine form in the New South Wales NPL this season for the Mariners.
Of course, that's part of the off-season transfer spree. A lot of players leaving their NPL clubs, particularly the academy teams, and going and linking up with Senior A-League. You might have seen Oscar Priestman today signing for Western Sydney Wanderers, even though he started the winter in Sydney Sky Blue. That's why it is such an exciting time for A-League fans, as their squads start to take shape. 4 additional minutes to end the night. Newcastle have done well to maintain their clean sheet through a more spirited showing from Melbourne Victory in the second half.
Yeah, they were very dominant, especially with the field position in the first half. Melbourne Victory have come out in the second half. Will Wilson's had a big part to play in that. Blue play as well. Had a couple of opportunities at 1-0 to maybe snatch a goal, but it wasn't to be. And Goodwin, showing us what he can do at the other end, has made it a little bit more comfortable in this last 15 minutes for Newcastle Jets.
Well, it's going to be Newcastle's round of 32. Broadmeadow, Edgeworth and the Jets all at home, barring a calamity here in the last 3 minutes for Newcastle. But it's never been a better time, I suppose, for the city to rally around this competition.
Well, it's a Newcastle Winter Festival of Football, isn't it? Get the jackets on and get out there and support the 3 teams.
It's always such a fun and exciting time, the round of 32. You never know what result might pop up that shocks the country. From a Melbourne Victory point of view, 2-time winners, of course, 2015 and 2021, but they won't get a chance to add to their trophy cabinet here as they bow out in the playoff game. Unfortunately for them, it's always a shame to lose one of the biggest fan bases and biggest audiences, but they did show their hand with the team they put out there, and certainly Tony Popovich, should he reach into his academy prospects as the season goes on. Well, hold the phone, they might yet set up a big finish. Nishan Valupale says, we've got 2 minutes of stoppage time to go, hold the phone. It's 2-1, Tony Popovich is out of his seat, and Nishan Valupale has got Victory on the board.
Well, he's been the main protagonist in this second half of Victory, and it was a lovely ball through. Ryan Scott couldn't get out quick enough, and he's disappointed as Whitley just slots it past him into that bottom corner. You can see it's Daniel Steins there that gave the ball away. With only 2 minutes to go, Melbourne Victory have a sniff.
Well, he does like Newcastle. He did score against them in the last A-League men's season. That was in a 2-1 defeat. His history repeating here in the Cup. We've got about 90 seconds, Melbourne Victory, plus whatever the referee adds on for resetting after the goal. They couldn't, could they? This would be quite the smash and grab at the end of the night. Long diagonal ball. The crowd rises. Falami, Valupale couldn't get there. The intercept made. However, Valadon is trying to trap the Jets in their defensive half. Steins found a teammate, Aquilina, bouncing over the head of Goodwin. Right now his goal is the match winner. Negro, we're into the last minute of stoppage time. Lino can barely move, he's cramping up again. Don't pass it back to me, he says. And now Victory ventured down the left. Wilson! A series of ricochets, and it's cleared away. Listen to the crowd, they're urging the Victory on. A chance for both coaches to learn so much about their team, how they handle the pressure of these last moments. A defensive header, Ryan Scott comes out! You have got to be kidding me! Tells the story.
Well, would you believe it? It's that man again, Valupale. He just gets in front of Ryan Scott, gets a touch, and the referee says Ryan Scott gets nothing but player.
Well, it's really hard to tell. Did he get to the ball first? Valupale, it looks like he got to the ball first.
Yeah, he's got there and scooped it away from Ryan Scott as he's come flying in. I guess Scott really could have just taken the safer option and Maybe shielded him away from goal. Just as we were signing off on a Newcastle Jets win, all of a sudden, Melbourne Victory have the opportunity to level in added time.
Well, 90+2 was Nishad Velupale's goal back. We are now 90+6. Who takes the penalty? Ryan Scott's given it away. Can he make himself a redemptive hero and announce himself to his new fan base, let's not forget, by saving the penalty kick? It looks like Will Wilson has pulled rank and will go to the penalty spot. This is extraordinary. They were playing out time. It was petering out to a Newcastle win. And now Will Wilson will put the ball on the penalty spot to bring this game level. Deep breaths for both. Wilson trying to compose himself. Ryan Scott. The thoughts that must be going through his head. Neither looks confident. Let's be honest. And again, the clock ticks. It'll be 90+7 when Wilson strikes the penalty. This is it then. To bring victory level, they've come from the clouds. The seemingly impossible is possible. Will Wilson scores the equalizer. And this young Melbourne Victory team, they have brought it back to 2-2.
Well, that's incredible from Melbourne Victory. Talk about never say die. 2-0 in the 92nd minute. Nishad Velupale gets a goal. And a couple of minutes later, he wins the penalty that draws them level. And it was cool, calm and collected from Will Wilson. Powerful. Scott goes the right way, but nowhere near it.
And if you left the ground, if you turned off the broadcast, if you gave up on this one, shame on you. Because guess what? We don't know who's going to the round of 32 in the Australia Cup just yet. Full time. And somehow, with 2 stoppage time goals, Melbourne Victory are sending this cup tie to extra time. You wouldn't read about it, but that's quite literally the magic of the cup. Full time at Larrakia Park at the end of 90 minutes. It's Newcastle Jets 2, Melbourne Victory 2. Daniel McBreen, how? What just happened?
Oh, it's crazy, isn't it? If there's as I said, if there's ever a lesson in never say die, well, there it is. And here we look back on the goals. This is early in the game in the first half. A little floated ball in. Balls to Trent Mahadra at the back post. And it sneaks in at the near post past Taleb. And that set Newcastle away. And then it was some quick thinking on a throw-in. Dane Ingham picks it up and off Archie Goodwin goes. Little touch inside and a wonderful finish. Great play. And at that point, you thought, well, Newcastle had done enough. And it had been that way for the next 15 minutes or so and looked comfortable. And then they gave the ball away. And your Steins just had the ball nicked off him. Ball nicked through, and then it's Velupale, who actually really was the spark for Melbourne Victory in this second half. And that was the 92nd minute. And you can see there, he still wanted to get the ball going because he thought there was a chance. And lo and behold, there's that man again. Ryan Scott comes flying out of his goal. Really no need to fly in there. Gives away the penalty. And you can see Velupale just gets a touch in first and then gets absolutely clattered. And it was Will Wilson with the composure to step up in the 97th minute when it was all dead and buried 5 minutes earlier.
Well, Macca, what on earth? The Jets have broken out of their huddle already. So what do you think Rob Stanton said? It must have been a pretty brief address because Victory is still surrounding Tony Popovic at present?
Well, I think he would have just said, look, you had this game wrapped up 5, 6, 7 minutes ago. Just go out there and do it again. But these young boys, the victory tops, will be now thinking, well, hang on. They thought the game was over and we were going home. Now their tails are up. They'll think they can go and do it. And we've seen Lino with a bit of cramp. So we'll see how they get through this next 30 minutes. But those guys will be disappointed. We were waxing lyrical about the game being over. It seemed dead and buried. It was cruising to a 2-0 victory, and then all of a sudden, Mission Valupalate, the man about town, has kept the game alive.
Well, the Jets, they got out of their huddle, and now they've gone and huddled back up. Tony Popovic here having a word to another prospective sub. There's the Newcastle Jets brains trust. Good poker face at least. You can only imagine what thoughts are going through the brain.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised we can't see the steam coming out of the ears there of Rob Stanton, because he knows that they've thrown that one away. They're going to have to do it the hard way now if they're going to continue. Not what he would have wanted on his first night out. He would have been quite pleased with the performance until the 91st minute.
So Kane Razmovsky has been with the Victory Academy since under 15s in his home club, same as that of club legend Kevin Muscat, George Cross. So he will come on for extra time. Ahmed Taleb, he'll be grateful that his teammates have given him new life. He may yet be the hero tonight if we end up with the penalty shootout.
Oh, we'll go back to that disallowed goal, the offside goal from Archie Goodwin. You said it could have a...
Yeah, sorry, I invoked I invoked all the spirits. I said Macbeth in the theatre. Sorry, Jets fans. I really am. I mean, to be fair, they did score to make it 2-0 after that.
Yeah, they did. Look, just having a quick think back over the game, but they've got no one else to blame really for themselves in that last 5 minutes.
I hope they gave pass outs for all the fans that left this game early, or at least it's thrown the gates open for extra time.
Well, hopefully they're all turning around and racing back in for another half an hour of football.
So, start of extra time, 2-2 after 90 minutes. In truth, it was 2-0 after 90 minutes, but 2-2 after 97 minutes. That's the state of the game. The Australia Cup playoff is yet to determine who will go through to face Brisbane Roar in the round of 32. And these players restart and may well now be pushed into the red. Aquilina was wiped out by the tackle from Menelau. And here is Ben Falami. He's got the pass on to Valupalate, but he doesn't want to play him just yet. He attracts two defenders, and that's going to be a throw.
Well, it's going to be some tight legs as we head into this final 30 minutes of extra time. Senior teams only really into their pre-season a week or two. You can factor in the warmer weather up north as well.
So Victory with a throw. Can they keep the scoring streak going? It was quite a break at the end of the 90 though. And it's immediately being flagged as offside, I believe. And so this is a live ball at the feet of Mark Natter. Out of the centre of defence comes Philip Cancher. And he's scragged by Will Wilson. Was Jack Morgan reaching for his pocket or not? Play continues. Steins. Aquilina. Aquilina with a deflected cross. It'll set up Bahaja. Pop shot that goes over.
It's another good opportunity. On this occasion, I don't think the ball would drop. He just had to scoop his foot underneath it, which invariably took the ball up and over the bar.
Lethley Let's not forget some of these Victory Academy players played in an NPL game on Friday night as well. So there's that to factor in too. We saw Victory make another sub at the beginning of extra time. Newcastle quickly run through their bench at the next break and play of who's still available to come on. As we see Wilson's cross blocked away. Michael Weir's their backup keeper. Daniel Wilmering, the new arrival from Western Sydney Wanderers, and Carl Jenkinson, named amongst the subs, of course. The Englishman, subject of A-League's All Access in one episode last season. So we may yet see one of those three players feature.
So am I right, Teo, in saying that there's 5 subs in the 90 minutes and you get an extra one? Yep. In the extra time.
Victory have subbed on Falami, Wilson, Balupale, Lethaline, Razmovsky and Averinos. With Razmovsky the most recent player to enter the game. That is 6. So Ahmed Taleb, he's got the gloves from here to the finish, barring injury. Four minutes of extra time so far. Safe to say neither team on top. And the offside flag does get raised on Will Wilson here.
It was one of those occasions where he knew he was offside. Didn't really want to waste the energy running, but the flag wouldn't go up till he actually went for the ball.
So this will be a lot of players being pushed into the red, or at least being instructed to play within themselves so as to not go into the red. I want to ask you about the toughest pre-season you were put through as a player. I know that when Ernie Merrick was in charge of his teams, whether it was Victory or Wellington or Newcastle, he loved to have a big training session on the morning of friendly games so that his players kicked off tired. And that was something that he would do, as we see Ryan Scott bat the ball away here. It was something he would do that if they were playing against a lower level of opposition, that they would be fatigued and have to make decisions while fatigued. And have I jogged your memory to...
That's quite common, to be honest, when you're playing a lower level team, to have a training session and then play that afternoon as well. But my toughest pre-season, bar none, was in Romania, in the mountains, leg weights, ankle weights on, 3 sessions a day. Spend 10 days up in the mountains and hardly saw a ball.
Well, who were you defending the borders from? Yeah,
well,
that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it was a tough one. And I must admit, I'd come from Australia in the 40-degree heat to about -15 in Romania, and 8 to 10 days in the hills, doing 3 sessions a day, and the big temperature change. I can say I went down, amongst others, for a few days in bed ill.
Did it work? Was it worth it, or was it?
No, it wasn't worth it.
All right, so other coaches listening can tick mountaineering off the list. not necessary.
These days, it's a lot more. There's a lot more science behind it, a lot more football involved.
There are, of course, some coaches who insist that the ball be present for everything in order to get players in that mindset. Still, others prefer different approaches. That's the glory of this time of the year, of course. You can imagine that as much as coaches move clubs, and of course Rob Standen has come from Sydney FC to join the Newcastle Jets, you would still have, I'm sure, a huge variance in how pre-seasons are managed across the different A-League teams.
Oh yeah, it all comes down to the manager or the head coach, and what their thought process is. Still, what you would term some old school coaches out there that still love to get the joggers on and get the players out running in the streets, and there's others now that everything, as you say, is with the ball. You can get the fitness for the match. Everything comes on the park.
Gaps opening here for Ben Falami to show us his straight line speed. He's able to hurdle through the challenge, but he's held up just enough. And he tried to lure in Steins, but no foul forthcoming. Steins, long ball, trying to release Archie Goodwin, and Goodwin is outpointed on this occasion by the most recent sub to enter the game, Kane Razmovsky. He's done well to win the foul here. Here's the attempt to win a foul at the other end from Falami, but safe to say he was already on the way down by the time Steins had arrived.
Yep, went down a little too easy for the referee's liking. Tried to milk the foul. I do think the A-League referees in the past season or two have cut down on that as well. Players going down, I don't want to say simulation, but getting a touch and going down. Seeing that allowing play to continue a lot more, which is making the players really stay in the tackle, stay in the challenge.
I'll tell you the player who absolutely perfected that and would milk a dozen fouls a game, but none of them ever to great effect. You're laughing already. I wonder if we're on the same page here. We'll stay with Newcastle on the attack through the left. Bayless against Valupale. There is a shout for a foul. And the ball hasn't gone out. It's live at the feet of Valupale. And now it's out. Oh, bizarre. Lachlan Bayless was shouting for a free kick. Nishan Valupale in a charitable mood, giving the ball back to the Jets here.
No foul in that for me there. Lachlan Bayless has just thrown himself to win the ball. Go on, Teo. Who's your...
Rolly Bonavacia. Ball through the left here. Moragas. And Steins with a volley. A series of ricochets. He'll get a second chance. And Bahaja hooks it well wide. Goal kick.
Well, it's at that stage of the game now when you get an opportunity, you really need to take it. Tiring legs. Moragas does well down there, and obviously Steins must have given the shout. Blocked, came back to him, and Bahaja just drags it across the face of goal.
So 10 minutes of extra time ticked by. 1/3 of the way through this additional period. We'll have a change of ends at the 105-minute mark. Shallow pass from left lean. Steins not able to capitalise for his team. Now, don't get me wrong, Macca. Rolly Bonavacia was a really good player, and he had some great highlights, but I think particularly in his Western Sydney Wanderers days, just the... We'll stay with Steins here. Doesn't want to hear the anecdote. Daniel Steins. He's invited to shoot, and it deflects out for a corner. They stood off him temptingly there.
See, he picks up the ball, and he's waiting for something to happen in front, and it's defenders dropping off. Just as he gets to that critical stage, Kathleen steps forward and gets the block in.
So a corner for the Jets. They had it won. They were 2-0 up in stoppage time. Header is away here. Left lean, the tall presence after the departure of Bozanovsky. Aquilina. Now O'Neill. Jets just retreating here. Now they're going to give the ball away. Wilson. Did well to take it off Callum Timmins. Will Wilson. Who's on for him? Not really too many options. And Aquilina, who can hold his head high. How he's played tonight, is able to come in and win the ball again. And now out in open space is Daniel Steins. He should be fresh. Of the players, he came on at the 80-minute mark. So he's still, the night is young for him. Bahaja. Steins. O'Neill. Finds his time. Vickery have formed a wide defensive wall at the top of the penalty area. Natter. Hard against the line here for Moragas. It's not going at breakneck speed for the Jets. They are holding onto the ball. Looking for a gap. Steins again. O'Neill kept working. He holds off Valadon. His attempt to twist the ball back to Steins comes up short. That clearance is under hit. Timmins still going. Breaks to the byline. O'Neill's on for him. O'Neill. And Taleb has done well enough. Goodwin is down and hurt. The Jets stop play. Do they wait for their fallen teammate? Archie Goodwin's getting himself back up. Yep, he's running back into an onside position. He might have to give himself up here, not make a play at the ball. Now he can get back onside. Long and winding phase of play here. Steins. Can he be the man to make something happen? He stepped into the role that Reno Piscopo left when he came off at half-time. O'Neill threads it through the right. Aquilina's made a run forward. A good defensive header from Menelau. As far as Timmins again. All hands on the pump for victory here. They're all packed in behind the ball. In a very tight space as well. And now the long shot. Stein says enough of this, and held on to by Taleb. It was right at him, but after such a long winding phase of play, your concentration is tested.
You can see there's a lot of tired legs out there. Plenty of walking players, and see
It was Bayliss with the shot apologies.
Yeah, Lockie Bayliss finally said, well, we're just going to keep moving this ball around in a slow fashion. It's creeping towards the end of the first half of extra time. I'm going to have a crack here.
That phase of play took us from about the 99-minute mark to 104. The Jets just had it on a string. And now it is nearly half-time in extra time. Newcastle are trying to press and trying to buy a mistake out of this victory defence here. All the way back to the keeper they go. Taleb, preventative measures. And the foul there. Zatharinos ran his man under the ball. Jets take it quickly. That's 1:05 on the clock. How much more before the change of ends? Fourth official hasn't lifted the board, so it's all on the... Oh, he's walking over now. And that's because it is no minutes, just the 15 seconds. There we go. Daniel Elder. He's caught out there, maybe, walking up with a big 0 on the board because the change of ends is upon us. And there is no change to the score at the end of the 90. Half-time and extra time of this Australia Cup playoff game. And it remains Newcastle Jets 2, Melbourne Victory 2. And Mac, this is normally the quick change in ends, but I think both teams have made an executive decision here to go over and take a drink and refresh a little bit more.
Yeah, understandable. Haven't been in on the training paddock for too long. You can see lots of players taking the opportunity to get down on the ground for stretch. I would imagine they weren't planning on playing 120 minutes. They would have wanted this over in 90. We were so close.
Do you think we get a goal before the need for penalties?
Well, we saw a couple of opportunities, in particular for Newcastle in that first period of extra time. When the legs are tired and the brain is tired as well, sometimes the execution isn't the best. Probably come down to one chance maybe to win this game for either team now. We saw that last 5 minutes. It was almost at walking pace for the majority.
Tony Popovich will have learnt so much about his team tonight. In fact, I recall saying it in the phase of play before the penalty was given. Both teams will learn so much about their sides tonight. Well, Rob Stanton too.
Well, it's been a baptism of fire for Rob Stanton. Only been in the post with Newcastle for I think 2 weeks now. He would have been talking to his assistant with only a couple of minutes to go, saying job well done. Let's wrap this up and start getting the video review done. a sudden it was all hands back on deck.
That conversation there, was that Chris Bowling, the goalkeeping coach?
Yeah.
Do you think...
Potentially, yes. I know where you're going.
Well...
You're going to suggest that Michael Weir may come on for penalties.
Well, Carl Jenkinson appears to be coming on for a 15-minute cameo here. There he is, the Englishman, for extra time. So that means the Jets will have subbed on Steins, Timmins, Jenkinson, Goodwin and Bayliss. Wilmering remains among the outfielders. And so Daniel... sorry, Macca. There's the player that's leaving the game. And Brandon O'Neill, yeah, that is the toll of going to extra time. It's literally written across his face. Start of the second half of extra time, but yes, you preempted my question. Will big Michael Weir come on for penalties?
Well, if I'm being honest, if you're walking up to take a penalty, and we spoke off air that I met Ryan Scott a few weeks ago in the gym, and I was surprised at how short he was. And Michael Weir is towering 6'3" or 4". I think he would be a more imposing figure in the goal. And we've seen it done at the bigger stage.
I'm certain that's what the conversation was.
Yeah, I think so as well.
And Daniel Wilmering, barring an injury that absolutely necessitates the Jets finish this game with 11. You've seen something, Macca?
Well, I just think I can see Michael Weir standing up, getting his kid on as well, just in the distance there. So you may have spotted something that's going to happen. You can see him start just in the dugout, getting himself a little bit warm.
Begs the question, should they have subbed him on for the penalty at the end of the 90?
That's a good question.
I'm full of them tonight.
Well, I know.
Absolutely full of them tonight.
I thought I was going to ease myself back into the coverages this season, but
now,
no.
You've sat down with Parkinson here, mate. So we've still got the chance of a goal in extra time, but that's why we're speculating about Newcastle potentially switching keepers. That's a look at the Melbourne Victory bench. Their backup keeper, Christian Siciliano, cannot be subbed on because Victory have already used their 5 subs in the 90, and then they subbed on Kane Razmovsky at the start of extra time. Foul here, Victory free kick. There is big Mike Weir. It's hard to believe that for years he was playing for Hume City. Ryan Scott was playing for the Bentley Greens. And now they are teammates in the A-League. And they might be ships passing in the night. Start of extra time. In fact, I think when Ryan Scott won that penalty shootout when he was at the Bentley Greens, I wonder if it was Chris Oldfield or maybe Michael Weir who was in goal. Testing my memory here. You remember Ryan Scott celebrated by doing the plank.
Yep, I do remember that.
Yeah.
I don't remember who was on the other end, though.
Yeah, it was at Broadmeadows Valley Park, so it was definitely against Hume City. Anyway, Kane Razmovsky here has won the ball back without conceding a foul. The referee perhaps is suggesting it went over the touchline instead. Jack Morgan, the whistleblower. Victory in possession with Ahmed Taleb. Steins will watch the ball run over. If someone's going to make it happen for Newcastle without the need for penalties, you'd think Steins might be the creator or even the finisher.
Well, I think he'll want to make up for giving the ball away too for the first Melbourne Victory goal from the Lupulate. There are some really tired legs out there at the moment.
I've pulled it up. Should have gone with my first instinct. It absolutely was Big Mike. August 2017, Bentley Greens beat Hume City 4-1 on penalties in the FFA Cup then. Round of 32, Simon Hill was behind the microphone. And it was Ryan Scott in goal for Bentley and Michael Weir in goal for Hume City. So, you know what's going to happen now? We're going to get a goal and we're not going to have a penalty shootout.
Now we've dissected every scenario on penalties.
Let the players, the 11s, settle it amongst each other. They may well here because Victory are breaking with Atherinos. to complete the comeback from 2-0 down. And the Renos with the cross. And there's a push in the penalty area. The cross was going high in any case. And a cramp has struck down Thomas Aquilina, who, it must be said, has been one of the Jets' best tonight.
He's been good tonight. I think there's a couple of Jets players down on the ground. There's one who went down further upfield in Victory's half.
What was your method for treating cramp? Did you need the pickle juice? Did you need the trainer? Or did you have a self-management mechanism?
Well, pickle juice only came in near the end of my career. Before that, it was just try and stretch it out and get on with it.
There's the other cramper, Moragas.
From the field, number 5, Lucas Moragas.
Oh, Moragas is coming off, and Daniel Wilmering, new arrival at the Jets, is on. So by my count, that means that they have emptied all the outfielders off their bench. Steins, Timmins, Wilmering, Jenkinson, Goodwin and Bayliss. And thus, I don't think we can see a keeper change for penalties. Which we are 10 minutes away from if we don't get a goal either way. Wilmering, the new inclusion. Will bring a new lease of life to the contest, Willie. Carl Jenkinson's missed him with the pass. And there's Lucas Moragas taking the long walk around the outer of the pitch. I imagine he would be happy to be back in Newcastle after his year on loan.
Yeah, I think so. I saw him a few weeks ago back at the New South Wales training facility watching the youth team. Seemed happy to be back with the Newcastle lads and looking forward to trying to break into the first team and make it his own, that left back position.
Foul, free kick going the Jets' way. Negro wearing the captain's armband. Marshalling what would have to be some unfamiliar faces. Confirmation of the sub going through. Natter. Now Bayliss. Wilmering, the most recent sub. Ball is knocked away by Razmovsky. Timmins just buys his time. Now Jenkinson. Need to really see what he can do since coming on. Deployed in a more defensive midfield role. Timmins holds off a challenge and fires the shot, but it's into the back of Lethlean. Turned away, but you heard the impact it made. And now Steins trying to find a way through. Half-hearted shouts for handball. Lethlean again the obstacle. And now Valupale tumbles under the challenge, but referee takes no interest. Long diagonal ball, too long, and will just bounce throw inside of the corner flag. There's Carl Jenkinson.
He'd be feeling old out there on that pitch, wouldn't he? He's got about 10 years on most of these at the most, at the least. Sorry. Only one in his 30s.
Veteran presence in the Newcastle team. No Jason Hoffman tonight. Cross from Bayliss. Being retrieved on the other side of the pitch, but Stein's not able to keep it in. So Newcastle, for the most part, making the running, but Melbourne Victory not without a chance. We saw what they did at the end of regulation. Valadon, he really has performed on this expectant stage. Razmovsky, and he can't link up here with Averinos. Natter and Victory are pressing all the way to the keeper. Ryan Scott is able to sweep the ball up to halfway though. Bayliss, good header. And he's getting the return ball here from Goodwin. Bayless knocked over by Razmovsky. And this has been a rarity, a free kick in this sort of territory for both teams throughout the course of the night.
I think he's given handball for Bayless.
Oh, he refereed himself and I went with him. Apologies.
I think the referee's been consistent on this. You see there, he puts his body, but he goes down quite easily. He can be strong enough there to stand up. You see, I mean, yeah, there is contact, but use your body, use your strength, hold that ball up. And I think the referee's been consistent on that tonight during the course of the match.
So the decision went Victory's way. Now long ball by Insera. It's going to be picked off in the air. Steins moves to central. Timmins. A channel to play it into. Bahaja steadies and blocks. Desperate defending for the victory. And Trent Bahadri waited that extra half second and it was enough for a body to fling into his way. Falami. And now Razmovsky. Return pass, Falami straining, but Natter got there first. And Razmovsky turns it back inside. Valadon. Falami doubles back. Razmovsky, things slow down once again. Galupale tried to play it out into the channel. Falami was attacking, but it's been defended by Wilmering. 4 minutes to go. Just whatever stoppage gets added on. The assistant referee is saying, come right down and take the throw in where I say. Galupale against the line. It won't go out. Newcastle desperate not to concede a corner. Chance for handball. Play continues. Medal out. Referee waves it on. Left lean. Diagonal ball. Galupale. He's got two to deal with. He breezes past both. Scott bats it down, and he's able to hold it on one bounce. And now Steins is released. The Jets trying to counter. Bahaja, can he use his pace? Cuts it back. Timmins. Victory defence arriving in numbers. Now they're able to pack the penalty area. Newcastle underneath an Aquilina cross. It's going to swing through the penalty area. Wilmering is there. He wants his preferred left foot. Wilmering, oh, good save, tipped over by Taleb. And the youngster Razmovsky there perhaps didn't know that Wilmering is a very left-footed player and he used it to good effect.
Well, both keepers being called into action at the end of this. Almost snuck in at that near post, didn't it? Taleb with a good reaction.
Well, he's priming himself for penalties, Taleb. He's staying sharp at the end of 120 minutes. There's still a corner to deal with, though. In at the near post. And driven away. Solid header, however, back out to the taker. Bayless. Second chance. Steins and Valadon charged through. Put it behind for another corner. Bayless will run over and look to swing it in again. The homegrown hero from Darwin be decisive at the end of the night. Bayless's corner, beyond the far post it goes. A high up and under header, it's not away yet. Jenkinson, but no one was a fox in the box, and it's held on to by Taleb.
Game sparked into a little bit of action in these last couple of minutes. We saw Ryan Scott come out for a cross with plenty of Victory players around him. And the Jets go straight down the other end and Taleb caught into action. Nice save at the near post and then cleaning up in the second corner.
One more minute, then any stoppage if necessary. It's been the ball live in play for a lot of extra time. Neither side has really wasted any time. Substitutions have happened quickly. Bayless, Wilmering. Perhaps one last hurrah for Newcastle. Timmins in a dangerous position. Jenkinson, they keep it moving. Archie Goodwin waits in the box. Oh, Bahaja was there and he heads it away from goal. It needed a glance. Instead, he hit it flush.
Well, that was the opportunity there. Good play down the right-hand side from Steins. What a ball that is. That's on the plate. 6 yards out, right in the middle of the goal. Bahaja has drifted in between defenders. He cannot direct it on target. He hits that on target almost anywhere, and it's in the back of the net.
Well, the fans who have stayed through to the end of this one will see a penalty shootout decide who goes through to the round of 32. Australia Cup nights. Penalty shootouts. And they go hand in hand sometimes. It will be spot kicks to decide who prevails in Darwin Part 1. Because after 120 minutes of football, it finishes Newcastle Jets 2, Melbourne Victory 2. Daniel McBreen, we did not get an addition to the score during 30 minutes of extra time. Penalties are required.
It's great for the neutral, isn't it? A little bit of excitement. What a good job by that man, Tony Popovich's young Chargers. Pretty much put out a full youth team. Introduction of Lupulate, Falami in the second half. Will Wilson as well gave them a little bit more impetus going forward. They've dug in deep. They've earned themselves a shot at a penalty shootout to move into the next round.
Do you have a gut feel either way? Taleb, the youngster, yet to make his A-League men's debut. Ryan Scott, new to the Newcastle Jets and hasn't played consistent A-League football for 2 seasons, but of course has been deputising for Jamie Young in that time.
Yeah, look, it's a lottery, isn't it? Penalty shootouts, especially after 120 minutes. So early in the season, in the hot conditions, there's going to be some really tired legs, but also tired minds. It's going to be who can hold their nerve, strike that ball true, give the goalkeeper no opportunity to make the save.
Ahmed Taleb, can he make a name for himself here? All right, as the teams get ready for the coin toss and the penalties, we're going to have a look at some of the match highlights so far for those of you maybe jumping onto 10 play and catching up with what happened, because this was extra time. And really the ball was following Trent Bahaja, but he was not following it.
Yeah, look, Newcastle really had the better opportunities at that stage, right near the end of the first half of extra time. It was almost at walking pace. He's had a great impact into the game. Lupulate. Rumouring, forcing a great save from Taleb in the last couple of minutes of extra time. There wasn't too much to shout about, but this was probably the best opportunity. Great play, what a ball in. And this is almost the final kick of the game. Bahaja had the opportunity to seal the game, put it away.
So there's Ryan Scott. He's been an Australia Cup penalty shootout hero before, back when it was the FFA Cup. We mentioned it, August 2017. Almost 6 years ago, he prevailed as the Bentley Greens beat Hume City in a national round of 32 tie. His opposite number will be Ahmed Taleb, 20 years old. Joined Melbourne Victory from Melbourne City. Prior to that was with the Faulkner Blues and Moreland Zebras. Those were his junior teams in Melbourne. So here we go, penalty shootout. Jack Morgan's still got a smile on his face. The assistant referees will go down and stand on the line and make sure no one encroaches. Will it be 3 Newcastle teams at home in the round of 32, or will it be Melbourne Victory, the 2-time winners in 2015 and 2021, going the long way in pursuit of the third cup? Referee laying down the law here to the 2-shot stoppers. As you can see, they're quite similar in kit colour tonight. And it looks as though Newcastle have won the toss, because Archie Goodwin, whose goal to make it 2-0 appeared to be decisive when he scored it, he is walking down to face the first spot kick in the 70th minute. You would have thought Newcastle were home when he hit the back of the net. Instead, there's still work to be done. First penalty of the shootout for Archie Goodwin. Ahmed Taleb at the start of his career. Can he become a household name for Victory fans? So the boy wonder, Archie Goodwin, he's up first. The penalty shootout starts with Goodwin, and he's able to find the net and make it 1-0 to the Jets.
Well, he struck it well, didn't he? Ahmed Taleb went the right way, got down well as Goodwin struck the ball, but found that bottom corner.
So first taker for Victory is Ben Falami. Subbed on in the second half as the momentum turned in the game. Came in a late rush. Victory's comeback. And now, just like during the game, they are chasing from behind. Falami levels it up.
Well composed. Finish there. Scott went a little early there. I think he made the decision up. Falami. Just took a step to the right. Early opened up his left-hand side as Steins now steps up.
Here's a technician, Daniel Steins. Does he have a spot? Is he still deciding? Second taker for Newcastle. Saved! Taleb is able to come up with the first save of the shootouts. Daniel Steins is denied, and Melbourne Victory will shoot for the lead.
Well, he didn't get hold of that one, did he? You can see Taleb goes early, and it's really a poor penalty. Gets his body behind it, and it's advantage Melbourne Victory.
Will Wilson, he was the catalyst. Came on at half-time and showed an intent and a competitiveness that dragged the Victory team with him. It's only fitting, perhaps, that he can put them in front for the first time tonight, in any capacity. Wilson. Saved! Scott answers! And the Jets keep the shootout level.
Well, just what the Jets wanted. Scott down well on that occasion. And again, it's at a good height, and it's not really towards the post. You can see there, it's a good metre or so inside the post. A good height for Ryan Scott.
And the captain, Stefan Negro, is out to console Will Wilson, his teammates as well. One conversion, one miss apiece. Callum Timmins is next up. And it's in, just. Taleb got a hand on it. But it twisted over the line, and it's a twist of fate that puts Newcastle into a 2-1 lead.
But for a brief moment there, it looked as though Taleb had done enough. Got the hand down. See there, just there's enough on it. Spins off the hand and slowly ekes over the line. You can see the relief.
Yeah, a grimace, not a smile. So the next taker will be Nishan Velupillay. His goal in the 92nd minute. Set up 2 minutes of mayhem at the end of regulation time, in which Victory grabbed their equalizer to bring Victory back level. Oh, and just like the Taleb penalty, Scott gets a hand on it. They're mirror images at the moment. one score, one miss, and then one that takes a touch off the keeper on the way through.
Well, they must be taking notes off each other, because again, this one struck a little bit better, more towards the corner. You see here as Ryan Scott gets down, he gets a good arm on it, just can't quite knock it around the post.
Carl Jenkinson, the senior head for the Newcastle Jets. Jenkinson is good. A comfortable conversion, no great shakes. Newcastle edge back in front.
Well, that was a composed finish, wasn't it, from an experienced, well-travelled player. Calm and collected, fired it down the middle.
And now Geordie Valadon gives the ball a kiss as he walks up to place it on the spot. Ryan Scott made a point of rugby throwing it to him as he walked up into the penalty area. As he's starting to get the head games going. Valadon. Over the bar, the head games worked. And Newcastle are on the precipice. Score here and the Jets will punch their ticket to the round of 32. And the disappointment is evident for Valadon.
Well, he's just got under that one, obviously. He's a talented young player. He'll be disappointed, but this is the start of his career. I've liked what I've seen of that young player. He'll be very disappointed. Good to see Negro, senior player, coming over to console him. They're still alive. The Jets have to score this one.
Philip Canchar. This is it for Newcastle. Score and they advance. And the Jets had to win it twice, but they do win it. Full time in Darwin, and it's Newcastle 4-2 on penalty kicks after a 2-all draw. Both keepers made a save during the shootout, but ultimately it's the Jets that hold their nerve. Rob Stanton starts with a win. Tony Popovich is still all smiles at full time. You wouldn't know who won the game surveying that scene. But there will be 3 ties in the round of 32 in Newcastle. Maybe it is their year after all. They get over the line in a penalty shootout. Consolation for Geordie Valadon. He ran himself into the ground over 120 minutes, and you hope he doesn't beat himself up too much for the spot kick at the end. Full time then, 2-all after 120 minutes, 4-2 on penalty kicks. Newcastle Jets defeat the Melbourne Victory. Don't forget, the Winter Festival of Football is continuing on Network 10. We hope you've enjoyed tonight's coverage on 10 Play. It has been an epic in the end. 120 minutes plus penalties. Good to see sportsmanship between both teams at full time. So, as we survey the scene, the fans make their way out of Larrakia Park in Darwin. The Winter Festival of Football continues. Of course, Ange Postecoglou's first game in charge of Tottenham Hotspur. You won't want to miss that one, and you won't want to miss this one either. Perth Glory against MacArthur. 7:25 p.m. on 10 Play tomorrow. One will go to the round of 32 to face Campbelltown City of Adelaide. The other will be out. Will it be the cup holders, MacArthur, as they start their title defence? On behalf of Daniel McBreen, my name is Teo Pellizzeri. Same time, same place, same network tomorrow. We hope you had fun tonight. We certainly did. We'll see you tomorrow for more Magic of the Cup. Good night.